up to Strongdon finally. Dayne Warren gives him no space. Oh, he's sideways. Very, very sideways. A very good evening to you wherever you're watching around the country or indeed the world, and welcome to the first round of the 2021 Automobilista Supercars Championship. My name is Alistair Schmidt. It's my absolute delight to welcome Michael Livery to the commentary box alongside me.
Good evening, Stairs. Good evening, everyone. Yes, I'm glad to be back for another season of ASC. Yeah, excited. Exciting times, and we're back at Bathurst.
We are. We kicked off in... we didn't kick off in Bathurst last year. We finished off in Bathurst last year, and now we're kicking off at the same track. It reminds me a little bit of how the Australian Grand Prix went back-to-back in 1994 and 1995 as we said goodbye to Adelaide for another time and said hello to the Melbourne Grand Prix. We ended up with two Australian Grand Prix back-to-back, which is a unique situation, and in Supercars today we have a unique situation in the same track, opening the season after it closed it last year.
Yes, it feels just a little off kilter. I was just mentioning to Stairs earlier that had it been normal service, I would have been at the Adelaide 500 today doing some marshalling or at the concert for the evening, but we're not. We're at Bathurst, and as far as the replacement round goes, this is a pretty good one.
Yeah, there are worse tracks to start a season. In case you've just tuned in and you're wondering where's Madbird, well, he couldn't make it today, but we're in good hands with Michael Livery, picking up from where he left off last year. We will, of course, have Madbird back throughout the season, and I'm sure we'll have your good self back throughout this season as well.
Yes, I'm excited to do some more fill-ins. I love coming into the ASC bunker that you got set up here. It feels a bit more like a bunker nowadays. It's a bit cozy, the setup after what we had at the 1000. But yes, always happy to fill in Madbird's seat, and hopefully we'll get to hear his lovely dulcet tones some round soon.
I should think so. Well, speaking of the Tech Talk bunker, we made good use of it last round in Bathurst, and well, what you talked about is still relevant there. So let's revisit your little feature on setting up the pass, Michael.
So here in the Cartex bunker before the race, we're going to be talking about something that you need to be doing during the race, because it's all well and good having the one lap pace around this mountain, but what's important around here is where you are at the end of lap 161, and to do that you need to be thinking about setting up the pass. This is a problem around Bathurst because there aren't really too many opportunities to set up a pass here, and that means you've got to be thinking about your competitors. Now, late on in the race, when you're in stint 6 or stint 7 and you've got 10 laps left of this race and the red mist is coming down, that becomes very, very difficult. But the things you've got to be thinking about is where is your pace advantage and how do you use your pace advantage. Now, this is part of where having the straight right line speed at the end of the race is an absolute luxury, because this makes this equation much easier. So where are the passing spots here? We've got about 6 passing spots around this 6.213 kilometre circuit. The two most obvious would be at the Chase and at Griffin's Bend. You can chuck a sneaky pass up at the cutting or at the elbow, or one at the bottom of the mountain in Hell Corner and Murray's Corner. So let's have a bit of a talk about the Chase first. So the most obvious passing opportunity on the track would be the Chase. And there's a few little things that you can think about when trying to set up and move into the Chase. First off, you can try and be spontaneous, take that late dive and arrow it towards the apex. The problem with that is it's dangerous. You can get caught by outbraking yourself or by getting blocked by the car in front of you, especially late on the race where the cars are going to be fighting for keeps, as we've seen in the real Bathurst 1000. But what you can do to get it much better is to set it up. So if you're thinking about your exit from the elbow here, if 1 kilometer here at the apex, the difference of 1 kilometer works out to 5 kilometers, 6 kilometers at VMAX down at Conrod Straight. So if you get it done right, you can get it done before the kink. Now, the way that you do this, so we've got our two little magnetic cars here, is you force your leader, you force the guy you're trying to pass into blocking you on the inside, taking that defensive line. So what's going to happen there is they're going to move, take the early apex and come out wide. Now that is slow. That means that at the bottom of the straight, they're going to be going slower. What you can do there instead is take this wide high line and arrow back in like the line at turn 4 at Simmons Plains, because that is fast. And if you get that done right, what that means is that by the time you get to the kink down the end of Conrod Straight, you've already got the move, you've already made that position, and you can charge on up the field. At Griffin's Bend, it's a similar sort of story. So if we remove this and head to Griffin's Bend, you do the same sort of thing, setting it up out of Hell Corner. But there's a big difference. At Griffin's Bend, if I draw in a quick little sneaky turn 2, there's a camber change in the middle of the corner. So if I draw in here, this is the sort of joining of the road. So what you've got on the inside is you've got camber that pulls you into the corner. And then on the outside, you've got the change in camber, which pushes you away. Now this complicates the issue because what really matters when getting into Griffin's Bend is the high ground, is that inside line. Because if your blocker is on the inside there, they can do whatever they want. They've got the inside line and there's nothing you can really do on the outside. So what we saw at this year's Bathurst 1000 was for someone like Brody Kostecki really pushing in to try and make use of that camber. But really, if you get the high line at Griffiths Bend, you've got that move done before you get to the cutting. The next best passing opportunity on the track is the cutting or at Forest Elbow. Now, this is the part of the track where you can use your cornering speed advantage to make a move. And this is all about bravery and it's about car positioning. What you can do here that you can't really do at the chase is you can get a bit lucky with getting around a block here or positioning your car in a way that the block doesn't ever come. So the normal line through the cutting or the elbow for the first car is kind of a little bit like this. You got the bank to the inside, come wide, and then come back through. That's a really bad drawing, but you'll see what I mean in a second. Again, the cutting has this little bit of camber in the middle of the corner, so you want to stay on the inside of that. So what you can do as the following car is hug this inside wall and take away that car positioning there, and all of a sudden you have the high ground and you have that inside line. And that's how you get a pass done at the cutting. The elbow is basically the same. The only difference is this camber in the middle is gone. Everything about the elbow is downhill, so you're fighting understeer that whole way down. The problem with doing it at the elbow, though, of course, is once you get to the end of Conrod Straight, you're going to be in a little bit of strife. So the last decent passing opportunity of the lap is here at Murray's Corner, and I like this one very much because it is simple. It is very, very simple. All you need is a good run out of the chase. You don't even need that much of a pace advantage. And the good thing about having Murray's and Hell back-to-back is if you're attacking, it's hard to defend both at the same time. So if we get our little cars in here, we'll have our attacker on the outside and our defender on the inside. The defender is going to take a line something akin to that. Now remember, early apex means slow down the straight. On the other hand, the attacker can come in wide and then get that arrow run down the straight. So once you get to the start-finish line, you end up having a situation that looks something like this. So you can see here, the attacker's already got the high ground there, already got the inside line, and then once they get to Hell Corner, they can just take that inside line and power up the hill, and if they need to, they can even block the initial defender a bit wider and get that run. Of course, the problem is you get that bad exit out of Hell Corner, you're going to be vulnerable at Griffin's, and then the whole problem starts again. And that's how you set up a pass around this 6.213 kilometer circuit. Back to you guys.
That was a great segment there from our esteemed colleague Michael Zalavari on setting up the pass, and that proved to be quite a... what's the word I'm looking for? There was a lot of foresight in that, and maybe it wasn't just luck. It seemed to come from a place of knowledge. But last time, there were a lot of times where we could reference back to that exact segment during the Bathurst 1000 back in October.
Yeah, maybe a little bit of luck, but it did make me quite chuffed that the pass at the very end of the race, the one for the win, was one of the passes that I talked about setting up. So that was a cracking battle at the end of the season last year. Was it Dayne Warren and Kurt Stenberg going head-to-head in the latter stages?
Oh, what a great finish to that race. It just built up throughout. the night, and we're looking at the man who was partnered with Dayne Warren and won the Bathurst 1000. These are the first pictures we're seeing of the Automobilista Supercars Championship for 2021, ladies and gentlemen. That is exciting.
Absolutely, and it's a beautiful, striking black and light blue livery with a little bit of pink. He's Colin Warwick here. He's taken the reference from the Walkinshaw Andretti United cars this season. They're also dressed up in the real deal with the black and the light blue and the pink, and he's done a very good job of combining those three colours into a beautiful little livery. He's currently the fastest man on track at the moment by a whole 0.02 of a second.
0.02 by his very, very good friend and the man who came second along with Dayne Warren in the Bathurst 1000, Kurt Stenberg, champion in 2019. And, well, so far, it's a better start than he had to the 2020 series for Kurt Stenberg, because if I remember correctly, this time last year for the Adelaide round, he was struggling with a storm that came through, knocked his power out. He went to a mate's place, tried to get set up, got the phone call that the power was back on back home, went back home, set up his rig, and then the power immediately went off again. So it was an absolute tale of woe from the get-go in 2020 for Kurt Stenberg. And Zach Baker has actually just surpassed Colin Warwick at the top of the times.
Yeah, I remember recalling back now the malarkey that Kurt had to go through in order to get on the grid last year. So as far as even getting to practice goes, he's had a better year. Something that is important to note at this stage is that while we have a 21 car field in the server at the minute, 18 of those setting laps, we are missing a pair of Warren's stairs.
Yeah, call that an opportunity with a very big capital O for someone else to grab the win. Zach Baker has found his way at the top, as I mentioned, but he was very, very fast a couple of years ago in the 2019 edition of the Bathurst 1000, so not a huge surprise to see him go straight to the top early doors.
And this would be a track that everyone would have done a lot of laps around, not only in previous events. It is, of course, the 1000 event. Is it the only full-length event that ASC does in terms of its real-life counterpart?
Oh, you're testing me. I don't think. Well, I don't recall a full-length one being done last year. I think there was an attempt to do. Well, they did Gold Coast a full race, not you know how they do a 300 and a 300, at least until COVID started.
Yes.
They did do a full 300k race, so one of the 2 days. But as far as the full amount of running that we see in a race, from a race point of view for the round, that Bathurst round is the one. And they really put on a show. I was worried when they said they were going to do a full-length 1000 because I didn't know how many people would finish it. And the first year they had quite a high rate of completion of that race. Last year was a bit higher in terms of the rate of attrition.
But we were lucky enough last year that it was still a very interesting race right up to the flag with the 4 competing strategies. Of course, with the full-length event, as practice ticks over to a close, and we've got, is that Zach Baker in the ditch as well at the...
Oh, he's done what Dayne Warren did in missing the pit entry. That was in Bathurst 1000. Just want to quickly mention the Canteen logo on Colin Warwick's car. That's a bit of a different livery to what he ran last year for Black Shores Racing. He sent me a message saying, I'll be having a crack. My mum has sponsored me for this season, so better do a good job. So he's got even more incentive than he otherwise would have. And,
that's cute. Love to see the family affair that is ASC. Less love to see Zach Baker almost going backwards into one of the wildcard cars, I think.
We've got a few cars to get our head around. It's always a tricky time at the beginning of a new season in deciphering who is who. But a great job by Colin Warwick, who's done up a number of different wildcard entries for us.
Fantastic.
So we at least have half a chance of differentiating one car from another. I think this time last year we had some blank cars, and that made it very difficult. But this year the field is looking very colourful, and we are liking what we're seeing. So we're a little bit behind schedule. Qualifying was scheduled to start at 8 o'clock Eastern. It is now 8:04 Eastern. But that doesn't matter at all. We've got 15 minutes to set the grid for the first of 2 races tonight. So just a regular qualifying session. We'll have a shootout for the second race. good to see a top 10 shootout, and this will be one of the only top 10 shootouts that I can remember. Well, I'm being a bit harsh here, but there's been quite a few top 10 shootouts in ASC history where there's only been 11 or 12 cars going for 10 spots. Tonight, we've got, the page goes beyond where I can scroll down to. We've got 22 cars in the server at the moment, so it is absolutely fantastic to see a bumper field in the offing.
That's basically a full grid, like a full real-life grid.
It is. So, just to run you through a few of the names that we've seen, Colin Warwick incidentally went to the top of the timesheets ahead of Zach Baker at the end of that practice session. Zach Baker, then we've got Kurt Stenberg, David Nenadich, so 4 stalwarts of the series. Then we've got Lachlan Bork, followed by Luke Rosella, who incidentally has moved teams this year from All-Australian Racing races to Synergy Sim Racing, so good to see him in SSR colours. And then we've got Benjamin Dahlia and Sean Allen, and Corey Preston, Matthew 97, he's a new driver, Brody Steen, Alex Cattle, Peter, Lime Mitch, Steve Warwick, Kelvinder Singh, RSM Latino, Instinct, Brap, Hayden W, Scott Nolan, and Ben Hall, rounding out our grid of 22 drivers.
And if you want to follow along with live timing throughout the event tonight, you can head on to rsmclanau.liveraces.com and follow on the live server.
Here's the circuit that we all know and love so well. 6.21 kilometres anti-clockwise, and the record there, I don't know if that'll be touched today, 203.389. That was Dayne Warren's qualifying time last year. And then Zach Baker, we mentioned he's fast around here. He's still got the track record in a race setting in 203 land. And, Dayne Warren was the previous pole sitter. He's not here tonight, and so someone else is going to grab that pole position tonight.
Maybe a chance for Kurt Stenberg or Zach Baker, or even if Thomas McMillan. I don't recall hearing his name for this evening, but he was one in the shootout for last year, so might be a chance for someone like that to possibly eke out a glorious pole position for the opening round of the Australian Supercars Championship, Automobilista Supercars Championship, for 2021.
And you'll notice some new logos on our broadcast and on the wildcard car in the foreground of your shot there, ASC. Our friend Colin Warwick has been a busy boy during the summer, updating the logos and giving me a fair bit of work in updating all the graphics so that they match.
Brand new graphics package. We are basically just like the real Supercars series.
We are indeed, and look at that queue coming onto the track. That is I nearly said a bad word. That is a glorious sight. Can't wait to see what happens in this qualifying session. There are the ZB guys, Lyon astern, and a few cars that we're really going to have to familiarise ourselves with throughout this session.
Yes, normally in the times that I've been a part of the ASC broadcast in the past, we get a spotter's guide or something printed out. Instead,
didn't have time. The liveries were still getting updated today. I downloaded the last of the livery updates 20 minutes before the start of this broadcast.
Oh, that's absolute from the seat of the pants sort of stuff that we love to see in our sim racing ventures. So we've got Dave Nenadich on screen at the moment. He was 4th in the practice session. They're running, Zach Baker and Dave Nenadich running the same liveries, or a very similar livery to last year, basically doing the good old Penske update.
Yep.
Or the
if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Yeah, that's fair.
They're easily identifiable, those cars. Let's just go through at random. This is Ben Hall. We'll see how many we get through until we have to start paying attention to lap times. This is Ben Hall in the Privateer 19 Great Northern car. Let's see, who else have we got on track? We've got a few of these Tamiya All-Australian Races car. This is a similar livery. Well, this is the same livery that Luke Rosella ran last year, but Luke Rosella isn't driving one of these cars. As we mentioned, he's moved to Synergy Sim Racing. So we've got Dane Ricardo in that car along with his teammate, who is Lime Mitch, driving the number 7 All-Australian Races car. This is Benjamin Dahlia, one of the Race on Oz satellite teams. So they've got Alex Cattle in the red version of this and Benjamin Dahlia in the green version of this. So great to see he's got the call up. He's done a few of these main category races after winning the Super 2 Championship last year.
They've got the full traffic light now in Race on Oz.
They do. They do. In the middle, on amber, is Sean Allen and Brody Steen. There is Alex Cattle, as we were talking about him there. We mentioned Colin Warwick, just letting someone pass, trying to find a little bit of track space, which is a bit difficult. We've got Zach Baker coming up the hill. There's Kurt Stenberg, the familiar TTR colours. Back with the number 47. He's dropped the 1 as he is no longer the defending champion.
Is there a curse of the number 1 in the ASC as we start our first flying laps? Is there a curse of the number 1?
He definitely thought there was. Kurt definitely thought there was. Well, we've only had one defending champion try to defend their championship. What am I talking about?
Their crown.
Trying to defend their crown, and that was Kurt Stenberg, and it didn't go well.
Well, I mean, as we made mention of, the first round last
Someone
season.
spun. There's a Black-Shaw's car.
That was Steve Warwick, it looked like.
Yes.
As we mentioned at the very top of the show, Kurt Stenberg had a horror start to the championship last year, so maybe there is a curse to the fabled number 1. As we have lost our live timing, so we're running just a little bit
beg your pardon
blind.
about that. Steve Warwick has just recovered. We're trying to see if we can get some pictures of that to see what happened there, whether it was assisted or whether it was all by himself. It was some time ago, I can tell you that much.
And it would be not a great start to the series. So the first competitive lap, having a mistake, and he's locked the front brake and tried a little too hard to gas it up on the exit. And
and ruined someone else's lap to boot. Not sure who that
very
was.
Close.
But no contact. Oh, there was in the end. With the wall in the foreground, the car, whoever that was, sliding in front. It was one of the wildcard entries, I think. So we've got live timing back, and no one's finished a lap yet. We've got purple sector from Kurt Stenberg, another one from Luke Rosella.
And I think Luke Rosella is going to be the one to track. They're very, very close between the pair of them, to be honest. As I think we're just trying to find Rosella on track now. Here he is in the black JK Signs Mustang as he comes up to the final corner.
That'll take some getting used to, those colours.
Very, very black colours as we've got him crossing the line. Kurt Stenberg does a 4.9 to start off with, and Rosella only a 5 flat. So we've already got the first shots fired in anger from Kurt Stenberg. A 4.9. Is that the first lap in the 4s for the evening?
I neglected to remember what times we had in practice, but I think they were 5s mostly. So
we're in 204 land.
204 land, long way from Fable 203 land, but nonetheless, that is a good cracking pace being set by Kurt Stenberg. Colin Warwick, we just watched him cross the line. He's done a 205.5.
Which is good enough for 3rd place, so there's quite a vacant area at the head of the field between Kurt Stenberg and Luke Rosella, to be fair, and then the rest of the field.
And Kurt Stenberg on this lap, he's just let a few guys go by him, so I think he's either cooling down for his in-lap or he's gearing up for another go. And he takes the Wing Cup line through the
No, we have to call that the Di Pasquale line now.
Oh, I haven't had a chance to catch up with what happened on the weekend.
Sorry for everyone who hasn't seen the race over the weekend.
Well, I did catch some results, though, to be honest. Alex Cattle's missing his bonnet somehow.
I think that might be the answer to who Stephen Warwick may have almost tangled up with on the exit of turn 1.
Good on you, Sherlock. That's a good catch there. So it looks a bit different to when it was newer.
Yeah. Well, we did say that we had the traffic light in the Race on Oz, guys, and the red light is certainly a little worse for wear as he comes to the green. And this is Sean Allen now, the amber example of the Race on Oz ZBs.
Now, I think he was very unlucky at the beginning of last series. He was absolutely dominant in pre-season in 2020, and then he just couldn't put together a result in the first 3 or 4 races. And I feel like if he had, then he might have had a chance of winning that championship. He wasn't that far away, only a race win or 2 behind Dayne Warren, our champion for last year. So Sean Allen may see 2020 as a bit of a lost opportunity. He would be the first to say to you that he's not as fast as Dayne Warren, but Dayne Warren missed the odd race, and so Sean Allen maybe in his heart of hearts thought that he had a chance there. But I think it's going to be harder this year. He's got a lot of strong new talent up against him.
And he's not too far away from slotting into that Stenberg and Rosella time at the very top of the standings. Only 1/10 away from the pole time to the 2nd sector as Colin Warwick jumps into 2nd place as well. So that's crowding up the first few rows in terms of times. He breaks into the chase. Very nicely done. Gets all the way over the front of the car. Nicks the curb on the inside, as you love to see it. He's not been the super smoothest throughout the lap. There has been a little touch of oversteer, but nothing that's going to be too worrying as he comes through Murray's corner. and sets his second flying lap of the evening, a 2:05.1 to slot into 4th place, just behind Rosella and Warwick. Oh, and we cut to Benedict, who's just managed to... How did he manage to avoid the walls there?
That's
incredible.
A good question. We were just cutting to them because they looked like they were flying in formation, and Zach Baker had just been dislodged by Colin Warwick's lap there. And it looked like maybe one of them was trying to give the other one a tow, and he just unsettled the car coming over there. And, well, ruined both of their laps. That's the risk in doing that.
That's a remarkably gentle tap on the wall there for how big that lose was. Normally when you see someone get it wrong through the S's like that, you're looking at a new chassis, but I think the virtual ZB mechanics are going to be very happy with how Nenadic kept that out of the wall.
Yeah, Ben Rhodes looking on, lamenting his exit of the Bathurst 1000, thinking, how come that happened to him? I didn't get away with such an easy time of it.
Just quickly, Stairs, just as we're looking at Dave Nenadic here, just want to draw people's attention to the gap between Colin Warwick and Luke Rosella. Have a look at that.
Ooh, that's small. You wouldn't get much through that.
No, not at all. Yeah, it's barely a blink in that gap there. So that's the difference between the first and second row at the moment.
David's coming into the pits. Let's join Benjamin Dahlia, one of the finds of last year, currently sat in 7th place. And, well, he's displaced Corey Preston at the moment by half a tenth. Very, very small margins. The biggest gap in the top 10 looks to be like it's between 5th and 6th with Zach Baker and David Nenadic, the teammates.
And Zach Baker has just improved on his lap to go just behind Sean Allen. So, again, very crowded in the top 5 positions now. No one else really on a heater, as Hans is saying in the chat. Zach Baker
Good
did
to see you, Hans.
Zach Baker did set the fastest final sector time as we're just watching Benjamin Dahlia's conclusion to his lap. Green to the 2nd sector for Benjamin Dahlia, so he has got a little bit of time to find, but he's not going to find it like that. Locks the rears on the way into the final corner and does improve.
6th there, that's pretty good. Up into, well, he splits to 2 ZB cars, so that's good. There was a fairly hefty gap between those 2 cars. Scott Nolan, he's a name that we're familiar with. Synergy Sim Racing, he's been with them for quite a long time. Great to see him back in the series, and great to see Synergy Sim Racing with a presence in ASC. They haven't been in ASC in my memory since the early days in 2019.
Well, your memory in ASC is going to far outdo mine, but I've been familiar with Scott Nolan and Synergy Sim Racing through the Oz TCAC series. They've taken 4 consecutive championships actually, at the hands of Brendan Hobson. So it's no surprise to me to see Scott in the ASC main game. It is just a little bit of a surprise to see him 12 seconds off the pace.
Yeah, I'm sure that he hasn't put a lap together, because 12 seconds, that's a 2:16. I can do better than that. And
I might even be able to do better than that with a controller.
Kurt Stenberg at the top. Doesn't look like he's going to improve on this lap, as he has Terrific, just like I did this morning. Colin Warwick has improved to 2nd, only a 10th off, so Kurt Stenberg's still the only man in the 204s.
He could go with another 204 here. We see he's just 600ths away from his 204.92, so he's not quite at his absolute outright pace. He's not too far off.
I say Luke Rosella slotted up into 3rd, although the gap's the same to Colin Warwick. Did someone drop out of the serve?
No,
that was ahead of them,
I think they were in the correct position. Someone that has just jumped up is Hayden W, who's jumped 3 positions to the top 10 as Kurt comes through the final corner now.
Oh, that's a bit wide by the looks of it. Maybe he carried the speed. Time will tell. And I am the fool with egg on my face. Kurt Stenberg goes quicker into the 204.8s now.
300ths of a second it was, so it's a full 10th that he found in the final sector, including that wide run through Murray's corner. Here's Luke Rosella. He had a track cut in sector 2, so we should see the time just tick over. There it goes.
Right you are, my friend.
We should... I'm trying to look at our timing stream, which is constantly buffering and rebuffering.
Yes.
As we just saw Kurt Stenberg get a very big slide on our second screen there. Just try and see who's on a quick lap at the minute. and it's very difficult with the amount of buffering and rebuffering we've got going on.
He's the third of the All-Australian racing cars, Lachlan Bork, in the top 10 in the 444 car. And then, since there's a little bit of a lull in proceedings, we're just going to try and take you through who else we haven't introduced you to. We've got Matthew 97 here, one of the ASC cars. He's up on his PB by a tenth of a second. So,
and that would be good enough to almost see him jump into 8th.
Yeah, it's very small gaps. It's great to see such small gaps in the first round of the series.
And would you look at that, Stairs? We've only got 2 minutes left in qualifying. These guys are going to be on their penultimate laps here.
It went quick, didn't it?
It does. It really does.
Oops.
So we've got Lachlan Bork coming into the final corner now, and he doesn't improve. Sets a 6.5. So he's still at the mercy of what Matthew 97 can do on our other screen. There he comes, just through the chase now.
Oop. And freezing up for a little bit.
Yes, it's very warm in upstairs room, which is now the new commentary bunker.
Well, this is the default commentary bunker. We tend to move officers for the Bathurst 1000 as we have a bit more gear to fit in with all the cameras and all that sort of thing. Matthew 97 across the line. It's a 2:06.1, and he finds himself inside the top 10. That's a good effort.
Yes, he did eclipse both Hayden W and Lachlan Bork on that lap. So very well done from the wildcard. If you missed Super 2, they run on Monday nights, broadcast by Kurt Stenberg. Is that still correct?
Yes, and Colin Warwick. They've been upping their game. Colin Warwick putting together some graphics for the broadcast as well. Just looking at Peter here, he's another Super 2 recruit, and he's running the JB Hi-Fi livery. I'm Mitch down in the 17th place. I thought we might see him just a little bit higher, but it is a very, very tough field. So he's no slouch in ASC, or which is now called Australian Sim Racing, ASR. Which is the ASC, I meant to say AMSLs. AMSLs, Automobilista Australia, where a lot of these guys have migrated across from. They're having a bit of a restructure and a rebrand, and so they're not just using Automobilista, they're using other sims, I understand, and so hence the rebrand to ASR.
Yeah, and we have ticked over to the end of the session, so everyone is finishing up their flying laps now.
Colin Warwick's in the pits. Kurt Stenberg's in the pits, so Colin Warwick's last opportunity to jump into pole position.
No, he's not going to do it with that, so that's his effort done. Luke Rosella did, set a purple first sector on his last lap, but threw it away in the final sector, so his chance is over now. It'll be Sean Allen who might be the next one to have a go. It's 14, he just missed the clip there. It's 14 thousandths off his PB, which is only a tenth away from the top as he dives over the skyline. Oh, big wiggle there through the S's. Manages to get it pulled up as he comes through the dipper. So did he nick the wall there as well?
Yeah, I heard it. It was a little scrape in my left ear. Only the left ear, because my right ear is uncovered by my headphones.
And he's up on his PB, and he's almost on the time of Kurt Stenberg. Now remember, Stenberg gained a 10th in the final sector for his lap, but Sean Allen, if he's that far away, that would put him onto the front row of the grid.
He's got it all to do. Our live timing's still reconnecting, so just trying to see if there are any other cars left after Sean Allen to set laps, but a lot of the other guys we're seeing on the other screen are coming into the pits.
Very clean through the chase for Sean Allen into the final corner now. Would hate to throw it away here. Gets the front tucked in. Oh, he's missed the apex just a little bit. Gasses it up. And for the front row of the grid, he improves, but does not gain position. That last corner really took it out of him. Sean Allen, a 2:05.056. Here's his teammate in the Mustang, Brody Steen. He's currently in 10th position. Jumped up late on in the session. Just a second and 3/10 away, and he improves, but again, does not gain position.
And only a few left now. I think Brap's not going full speed through the final corner there, so I don't know if he's on a fly. Yeah, no, he's in the 16s there, so Brap will stay in 19th place as we take a cursory glance around the track to see if we've got anyone else on track. There's Lime Mitch, by the looks of it, on his cool down lap. Scott Nolan too. ends up finishing in 20th place. He did improve to a 208, 209, 209.2.
Oh, sorry.
Scott Nolan I'm talking about. So he's only 4 seconds off the pace,
And-
as opposed to the 12s that he was before.
That sounds like a much more Scott Nolan lap time, to be honest. And it wouldn't surprise me at all, knowing Scott, if he's doing it live, if he's just turned
He's
up
doing
on
it
the
live.
night. Yeah, like we are here at ASC.
Yes, good to be back. That's qualifying for the first round of the championship, first race. And we're going to have a bit of a warm-up session before the start of the race. But let's go to Matty Dunlop for a feature on the pit blend, or the pit delta around this racetrack. And incidentally, I didn't have that correctly set up.
Yes, just like Scott Nolan, we're also doing it live here at ASC.
I thought I had figured that out, but just give us a quick second and we will rectify everything that we possibly can.
By the way, what you're seeing on screen now is the point standings heading into the Bathurst 1000 from last
year.
season.
But
Yep.
now we have Matt Dunlop for your viewing pleasure. Yes, is there audio coming through it?
Fuels up for fuel, they're still technically battling, but you don't know where they relatively are because one of them's dropped down the order, of course. So we have to figure out exactly. When you've got drivers who are pretty evenly matched racing around a tricky, narrow circuit like Bathurst with pretty limited overtaking opportunities, pit strategy becomes a super important part of the race, especially when it's lasting over 1,000 kilometers. Now, the problem with that is when you've got two cars who are battling for position and then one of them takes a pit stop and fills up for fuel, they're still technically battling, but you don't know where they relatively are because one of them's dropped down the order, of course. So we have to figure out exactly how much time it takes or how much time you lose when you make a pit stop. That's what we call the pit delta time. It sounds like a pretty simple concept, but that varies from category to category and from track to track. So we're going to try and figure out what the pit delta time is for a supercar racing around Bathurst. I've got my lovely assistant Jake here who's going to come into the shot now. He's going to show you a little map that I've drawn of the bottom half of the Mount Panorama circuit, starting from the exit of the chase somewhere around here, going down under the footbridge, through Murray's Corner along the pitch straight, Hell Corner, and then up towards Griffin's Bend at the end of Mountain Straight. So, if you're not taking a pit stop, the time it takes from you to get from the footbridge here, down the track, through Murray's Corner, across the start-finish line, all the way down the pit straight, through Murray's Corner, and up here to the pit lane blend line is 20 seconds. That's roughly 20 seconds. That's going to vary a little bit depending on the state of your car, the driver skill, your setup, yada yada, blah blah blah, that sort of thing. Roughly 20 seconds. Now, if you're pitting, it's a two-part equation. The first part of the equation is the stop time, how long it's going to take you to actually stop and make the pit stop, right? So that's the time that you're stationary in the box. Now, the fuel rate of these cars is 3.75 litres per second, or a gallon per second in the old money, if you're my dad. Now, that if you're going to have a 112 litre fuel tank that's empty or near enough to empty, it's going to take you 112 divided by 3.75 to fill that up is going to take around about 30 seconds. So that's 30 seconds you stopped in the box. While your fuel's happening, you're also going to be changing your tyres, driver maybe, and maybe doing some repairs at the same time. So it's basically hinges on the fuel. The other half of the equation is transit time. So if you're coming in for a pit stop, the time it takes for you to get to here, slow down through here, weave through this weird little chicane, get right down to 40 kilometers an hour, that's the pit lane speed limit, crawl through the pit lane, pull into your box, stop, that's your 30 seconds, pull back out into the lane, crawl back along the lane until you get to here, turn the limiter off, gas it up and get to here. By the time you get to that point, that is going to take you 90 seconds. So Get rid of that. 90 seconds. That's a minute 30. That's a lot of time. Now, to figure out the delta time, we take that, we subtract what it takes if you're racing around the outside, and that gives us 70 seconds, 1 minute 10. That is the pit delta, but that's not the whole story because car 1 and car 2 are in very different circumstances. When car 1 here gets to the end of the pit lane, car 1 number here gets to the end of the pit lane, it's only going to be doing around 100, 110 kilometers an hour. But car number 2, by the time it gets to here on the racetrack, it's going to be doing 120, 130. That's a big...
So, as wrapped with attention as I was with Matt Dunlop's beautiful segment there, we do have to cut away as the cars are just getting up on their warm-up lap now. So we'll cut back to the live action, Michael.
Yes, and we are already on the formation lap already, and it is Kurt Stenberg, who was the only driver in 204 land, leading us off the grid, and he is joined on row 1 by Colin Warwick in the Warwick Racing Team number 53. Row 2 was very closely fought between Luke Rosella in the Synergy Sim Racing number 55, the All Black Mustang, and Sean Allen, the Race on Oz 2 ZB Commodore. Zach Baker heads up row 3, and he is joined by Benjamin Dahlia on in the second of the Race on Oz cars, the green light for Race on Oz. Number 7th place was the second of the ZB Mustangs with David Nenadich, and he has Corey Preston for company, sitting on 8 in the FGX 98. First of the wildcards tonight is Matthew 97, setting a lap just to breach the top 10 late on in the session, and he has Brody Steen for company, who improved on his last lap, but not enough to improve his position. Lachlan Borkin, the first of the All-Australian Races cars, is out of 11th, and he is gridded up next to Hayden W, which is Hayden Warren.
I don't know.
Maybe, okay. Hayden W. We'll keep it with Hayden W for now. Peter in the JB Hi-Fi car is in 13th place, lucky 13, and he has Instinct for company on in the Mustang, the RSM Racing number 17 car, out of 14th place.
Bit of an update for those RSM guys.
Speaking of RSM Latino is in 15th position off the grid. Alongside him is Alex Cattle. Next car on the grid in 17th is Lime Mitch, in the second of the All-Australian Races cars, and he has Dane Liccardo for company on row 18, teammate in the All-Australian Races stable. Steve Warwick is out of 19th position. We saw him have a spin on his first qualifying lap for Steve Warwick in the second of the Racing Warwick cars, and he's joined by Brap on 20th of the grid, the Missed Apex Motorsport machine. In 21st, sorry, we have Scott Nolan, the second of the Synergy Sim Racing cars. We look for him to improve throughout the night, and rounding out the grid, we have Ben Hall in the Privateer number 19 entry, and that is your 22 car grid for the opening round of the Automobilista Supercars, brought to you by
Card Effects and Jinx Shifters.
Beautiful.
As well as Warwick Designs, Apex Rear Wing. We've got quite a few partners helping put this thing together, and we're grateful to all of them, as well as being one of them.
Beautiful. And if you do want to support the channel, make sure...
Lewis Wedding, sorry to cut across you there. Lewis Wedding has managed to join the server since the end of qualifying, but he sat in the pit lane. Will he start this race? I think his engine's running. He may start this race from pit lane. Well, that's some late mail for your Wednesday. Wednesday? It's Tuesday.
That's
Tuesday. Early
oh
mail
my
for
God.
Wednesday.
What year is it?
Drama early on.
That's such a typical Lewis Wedding thing to do as well.
It is, isn't it?
Absolutely. So, as I was saying, if you want to become a partner, you can...
Totally derailed you saying.
Yeah, I was given the plug. I was given the Patreon plug and everything. But who knows? By the way, we've got Blair Warren in the chat, making sure that we represent Card Effects Design and support the brand. So
Absolutely.
We got in just ahead of you, Blair, and we're ready for the first race of the season.
Oh, it's coming. It is coming. And so am I. Nah, kid. Let's get ready to
Wait, you're
race. We've got 23 cars One of them in the pits, 22 on the racetrack, ready to go. The lights are but moments away. And round one is underway. A drive-through penalty immediately for Brapp for jumping the start. I should suspect as Kurt Stenberg swoops through into the lead. Colin Warwick behind, under pressure from a great starting Sean Allen, who's going side by side with Luke Rosella, who ends up winning out in that battle.
Yeah, great start from Kurt Stenberg. Got the jump and then got the drive. Warwick was a little vulnerable there, but he managed to hold off Sean Allen, and then Allen just went wide as they stream across Mountain Straight up the Griffins for the first time.
Yeah, Sean Allen had a little bit of a look. Luke Rosella's actually gone a little bit wide coming out of Griffin's Bend, and Sean Allen is trying to make his way up through there. I don't know that that's going to work. Somehow, that was a lot scarier from on board than it was from off board. I tell you what, that was an Ambrose Murphy situation in the making.
About to say the same thing as the field flies up the mountain for the first time, through Reed Park, under the tree, down through Sulman Park, over the Great, and we're away. The first sector marks are up. See if anyone's made any decent moves. Not yet. Everyone looks to have gotten through though.
Corey Preston's up 3 spots from where he started. That is a tremendous start for young Corey Preston, up into 5th place. Meanwhile, Zach Baker lost a couple of spots. Hayden Warrington, I have to mention him. He's gone up 4 spots from his lowly starting position in 12th. So look out there. Oh, we've lost a mirror. That was a ZB mirror, I think I saw.
That would have been David Nenadic just behind. We saw that pop off as there's a few cars making contact with the wall on the exit of the elbow. They fly down towards the chase the first time. It's getting some grass going there, and that looked like Corey Preston, who just got out in the grass, and he's vulnerable now to Benjamin Daly as they come over the hump into the chase. Oh, look, here we go, side by side with the chase. Benjamin Dahlia and Corey Preston. And it looks like Preston's just managed to hold them out as they come through the chase.
Well, that looks like a battle set to rage on. A little bit of a wiggle there as we've had Hayden Warrington lose a spot or two. He's coming under pressure on our other screen there. In fact, 3 wide as the All-Australian car in the background tries to find a way through, but nothing doing as they all file their way through the final corner. So Hayden Warrington got loose on the exit of the chase and ended up losing a spot as a result of that.
And that's a change for 3rd place that we've just seen there. Sean Allen's just dipped through. Oh, and there's a touch on the exit, and Nenadic almost gets speared into the inside wall there. There's a lot going on. There's a lot to track at the moment as we are down 1 lap of 20 of this evening's action. The first race of this evening's action.
Yeah, we're just trying to go back and find a bit of a replay of Sean Allen getting Luke Rosella back for 3rd place.
Swept around the outside there. That's a very difficult move at one, but gets it done nicely and gets the run.
Nice move indeed. And so he's set about trying to put some distance between himself and Luke Rosella, Sean Allen that is, I'm talking about. So what other battles we've got? Gaggles sort of still trying to settle into a bit of a rhythm. Benjamin Dahlia, they're putting Corey Preston under a bit of pressure, although that gap is not quite as close as it was a moment or two ago.
Yeah, I think in the process of sorting out as Preston ran a little wide. Oh, and Rosella had run extremely wide there, and he's dropped 2 more positions down into 6th place. So he's now compressed this little train with Nenadic, and I think that is Matthew 97 just behind. It's very difficult to keep track of all these black cars.
Yeah, Matthew 97, one of the wildcard entries. You can see the new ASC logo adorned on the bonnet of that car. I've just seen another mirror, I think, go down at the elbow, part of this gaggle. They clearly don't need them.
Oh, well, clearly not if they're not looking behind them. They're eyes forward at this stage of the race, and everyone's looking at the moment at the rear of Benjamin Dahlia as they fly through the chase. There's a move on there. That is Luke Rosella.
Is he going to make it stop all over the curb? The switchback. He goes onto the bit of the grass. Great racing there from Alex Cattle, who manages to avoid. And Zach Baker just nowhere to go, getting sandwiched in between himself and Hayden Warrington. We believe it's Warrington.
That sounds correct. If it's not correct, someone please tell us in the chat. That was almost a Whincup McLaughlin tandem moment there with the slow Rosella coming back onto the racing line just as Zach Baker and Matthew 97 were making their way downtown.
We barely have talked about the guy who's leading this race, Kurt Stenberg. Haven't seen him on our screen. I'm thinking a bit of unfinished business on his part after not winning Bathurst last year. Having said that, he won it in 2019, so he does have priors here, but he's got out to 1.7 second advantage, and I won't say he's checked out because we're only 3 laps in, but he's certainly scanned the QR code, and he's only picking up a few items and heading somewhere in the vicinity of the self-serve.
Yes,
checkouts.
and just to note, just to cover off before we get too deep into the race, fuel usage is set to 2 times for this race, so there will be 1 compulsory pit stop for both races this evening, race 1 and 2, as that was Matthew 97 just tagging the wall on Phil and me.
Yep.
Lost a little bit more times. I heard someone grab the grass at Skyline once again.
Didn't see a collision associated with that, so maybe just a small amount of grass there, just behind the high school sheds kind of thing.
Oh, we're calling out all the stops. It's been far too long, hasn't
I've
it?
been saving them up. I haven't called an ASC race for nearly 4 months.
Yeah, what was the stat that they said on the Supercars? 138 days since the Bathurst 1000, so that's 4 months of stairs-isms we got saved in the back pocket.
Colin Warwick, he's gapping the guys behind him as well. So it's a 1-2, just sort of found a little bit of space. Meanwhile, this battle keeps going long and hard into the night as Zach Baker, I saw your eyebrows raised there.
I didn't have to say anything.
Just out of the corner of my eye, I could feel these Michael Zalavari eyebrows just raising ever so slightly.
So Luke Rosella has been the energizer of this battle, not by making moves or jumping ahead. He's been the one who's dropped back in. He's certainly got the pace to be fighting with the lads a bit further ahead. But at the moment, he's stuck behind Benjamin Dahlia, who just pinches the wheel on the entry to Hell Corner and might find himself in a bit of a world of hurt as they come up the mountain straight with Rosella right under the wheel tracks of that green Race on Oz Commodore. And there he goes, there's the dive. Big spontaneous dive, but he thinks better of it and tucks back in. Don't think he was going to get away with that one, but he might have a bit of a chance now as Dahlia uses a bit more of the road than the track limits allow.
Yeah, hard to make the move at Griffin's Bend, as you so expertly explained in your pre-race segment.
Ooh.
The cambers were falling away on the outside, but somehow they're side by side through here. It was Alex Cattle got all sorts of sideways there under the tree, and they're going to go through here side by side. Somehow they keep it out of the fence. This is an absolute gift to those behind. Poor old Zach Baker doesn't know which way he wants to go. Look at this!
How? How did they manage to get through that section of track side by side without causing an almighty incident?
It's the first time that's ever happened in the history of the
In the history of the world, honestly. Incredible stuff from Rosella, but that certainly opened up the gap to, that is Corey Preston ahead. So that gap's now over a second, almost 2 seconds.
Corey Preston's loving life on his return to the series, and I ate spaghetti tonight, so I apologise that I've got to fluff just a little bit. I pointed away from your direction. I wouldn't apologise to Liam, he doesn't get that service.
I feel very special, as does Zach Baker, as he dives down the inside of Benjamin Dahlia, makes that move done and holds it up on the exit. So doing what Rosella was unable to do beforehand. He's hugging the inside line, not giving Dahlia the line into Murray's. Does very well to consolidate that move.
That was nice work there.
Up to 6th place for ZB in the ZB Mustang.
So a quarter of the way through the race, I'm risking things here by thinking about taking a little bit of a stock take as we get some speedway action out of turn 1 there from Benjamin Dahlia. But this is your race leader. We haven't seen too much of him. Sublimely out front, out to a 2-second advantage. Kurt Stenberg looking very, very good for his start to the season, ahead of Colin Warwick in 2nd place, the previous winner at this racetrack. And then we've got Sean Allen in 3rd place ahead of Corey Preston. And then we've got this gaggle. This is the battle that we've been paying close attention to throughout this race. It's Luke Rosella, and then behind him we've got Zach Baker defending from Benjamin Dahlia, who's trying to recover lost positions. He's been the big loser of this race so far, as he started in
6th.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's masked a little bit by the fact that he was running just 1 lap ago in 5th place.
It's
so
Luke Rosella I was thinking of, who's the big loser of this race, who started in 3rd and then dropped down to 5th. But he was further down than that earlier. So, yo-yoing fortunes so far. I think we just stick with this rather than continuing our stock take. We might come back to that in a minute. This is definitely where all of the action is at the moment.
Just looking at the timing sectors as we hear, oh, is that Luke Rossello just getting a little bit of wheel spin out of that corner, and he's actually lost a lot of his run as we're looking at his Zach Baker, on board from Zach Baker, heading up the chase. You can see the difference in speed because of that missed opportunity. They're going to go side by side through the chase. This is an airplane crash waiting to happen here. They filed their way through, hit the anchors, and Baker is going to ride the curve. He's going to be able to hold the exit there. It's close, it's not close enough. And Luke Rossello gets through. Benjamin Daly is interested in this now. He goes down to the inside, and he's going to make the move on Zach Baker as well. Now, this could...
Oh! That's one for next year's highlight reel.
Synchronized sliding there onto the main straight, and that's given Luke Rossello just the edge he needed to just break away from that pack. And it was all because he got a bad run out of the elbow that all compressed up. But Dahlia was the winner there, and Zach Baker, unfortunately, the loser.
He so nearly got it stopped. He so nearly got it stopped for the chase, but then he got two wheels on the grass on the exit, completely scuppered his exit. He tried to close the door to Alex Cattle, who was running through it like a kitten that's not allowed outside yet, and it was too late. The horse had bolted, to mix my metaphors.
I was about to say, it's a kitten now, it's a horse.
It's a horse grown.
And you know what? Had he broke in a straight line there and not run his front wheels over the curb, I reckon he would have been able to block Rosella's turn-in point and maybe get away with that. But that might be a lesson for next time for Zach Baker. He's currently sitting now in 7th as this battle pack continues to deliver. We're on board with Zach Baker now as we fly through McPhillamy Park and over Skyline. What a view as we plunge off the side of the mountain.
Been quite some years since we're not calling this race, having been to Bathurst for at least this year. Normally our ARW crew would have had our foray into New South Wales for the Bathurst 12 hour, which sadly we didn't get to do this year for obvious reasons, but we do so much hope that it will return in the years to come, and it will be all the more special for having been absent.
We've got Cameron Parrott in the chat saying great driving for Rosella and Dahlia. I absolutely agree with that. There was no way that I thought that was ever going to work, and they kept it off the walls and kept it out of each other. So big ticks for both of them. Just quickly, Rosella's lap times have not recovered to the pace of the leading group. He's been kind of stuck in a bit of a yo-yo between this chasing pack behind and trying to get away to catch Corey Preston ahead. Sean Allen actually just set a personal best lap for him, a 2:05.995, a whole 0.02 of a second behind Colin Warwick's 2:05.993. Cool number if you're a Porsche fan in that one. But no one is able to touch Kurt Stenberg, whose best lap was the last lap around, a 2:05.3. As we're just watching Zach Baker again have a little nibble at the rear of Dahlia's Commodore. They both missed the apex at Griffin's Bend, but Baker gets a great run here. He squeezed on the inside, not quite enough room there.
It's the sort of thing we saw on the opening lap again. But they get away with it. They're all having trouble with traction out of the cutting there. I saw Benjamin Dahlia have an almighty wiggle there a couple of laps ago.
How much pre-season testing have these guys been able to do? Is there a first day at school sort of feeling for these guys as well? Or they had the opportunity to get out in these cars and run a few laps?
Well, they did have some running at Newcastle, but I don't know how meaningful that would be for this particular racetrack. Night and day. So it would have been useful if we were starting the season at Adelaide, but well, that's not the case.
Yeah, well, circumstances have ruined that as well, haven't they? I'm not salty at all.
No one's salty here. Hashtag just Adelaide things. As Benjamin Dahlia continues to struggle with traction, but I think Zach Baker is having similar issues. He does have a little bit of a slipstream here coming down Conrod Straight, though. Let's see. Whoa!
And he's gone to the inside. He might even get it done before the kink. He's got the inside line. Dahlia tries to hold it around the outside, but has to put on the anchors.
Great job there.
And yeah, well done from Zach Baker there. And Dahlia, he's really struggling with that rear end grip. He's not able to get the traction down in a way that's useful and powerful. In a way that can get him to the rear of the ZB Falcon. Ooh, that's going back the up. That's ZB Mustang. Thank you. And again, just a little slide on on throttle rather.
Power up.
Much smoother that time.
Maybe
which is nice.
maybe we can continue our stock take now. See if we can get him in before the first round of pit stops, which surely can't be too far away now. And certainly, I think Benjamin Dahlia will be hoping so with the lack of tyre grip that he seems to be having at the moment. But just sort of watching this battle unfold ahead of him, not quite right there, but there to pick up the scraps if he needs to is Matthew 97 in the wildcard car down there in 8th place. And he's ahead of the second wildcard in that train at the moment, driven by Hayden W. Lachlan Bork in the Tamir All-Australian racing car. He's got David Nedovich for company, those two occupying 10th and 11th place, and a little bit further behind them, Brody Steen in 12th. For company, he's got Instinct, so those are two very well experienced campaigners in the ASC series. Behind him, we've got Peter, who's having a bit of a lonely race, but doing a good job. A Super 2 recruit, I believe, in the JB Hi-Fi car. And then we've got Alex Cattle. He's made one improvement, as both of those cars go into the fence. We've got Alex Cattle and Lime Mitch, who's been in the wars by the looks of it, missing his bonnet and missing his right-hand mirror. As we actually just saw on our other screen, Benjamin Dahlia's on board. You've got Zach Baker in front of him, and he's just wiped the wall at the exit of Forest Elbow, lost his mirror.
I think it was actually on the entry there that he clipped the inside, and then that sprayed him a little wide there.
Yeah, we're going to see if we can catch a replay of that. I'm wondering if it was Zach Baker or if it was another car. We're just going to cue that up now.
Oh no, you are right. He just missed it.
No, he still had the mirror, so it must have been some other part of his car that parted company.
How very peculiar.
Yeah, it's just one of those things. Just one of those things. So that's Lime Mitch down there in 16th. Behind him, we've got RSM Latino, and I've got a commentator next to me pointing at some action. That
So Corey Preston must have made a mistake in that last sector. A 41A plays a 40, so he lost a second in the last sector. And that's really incentivized this battle here with Luke Rosella and Zach Baker. As we've got our first pit stopper, and it is Hayden W.
Yes.
So a lot going on in a very short amount of time here.
Benjamin Hall has also DNF'd, and the other car pitting is Matthew 97.
Yeah. We've also got DL Racing 35, which I believe is Dane Liccardo, saying that he disconnected on the formation lap. So unfortunate for Dane Liccardo. We're watching this battle, which continues to impress us. Now it's Corey Preston, Luke Rosella, and Zach Baker for overall 4th place now. And Rosella is very, very close to the rear of that Commodore. He's got Zach Baker for company as they come over McPhillamy and into...
drive-through penalty for Hayden Warrington.
That would be pit stop related, I would
And
assume.
Matthew 97.
Oh, that's a little... was he also in the pits?
Yes, he was.
Yes.
So presuming that those were both caused by speeding in the pit lane. So some early casualties. We've also had perhaps drive-through penalty, which is why he's down in 19th place.
Oh,
that's
a little
wide.
bit of a moment for Corey, and he's lost a lot of speed there. Now, this is going to be difficult for him to control the run down Conrod Straight, plunging downhill for a lot longer than you realise down the Conrod Straight, up this little hump, and Rosella fans to the inside in that Mustang, and they're going to go side by side through the kink. Hold your breath, everyone. And they make it through. Is Preston going to hold on?
Whoa, side by side through the exit. Luke Rosella's not giving this one up without a fight. And they're side by side. Again, no one diving into the pit lane. Luke Rosella hasn't been able to head him off at the pass. He can't block the line, so they're going to continue to go side by side. Zach Baker thinking, which way should I go if I want to pick up the scraps? Luke Rosella finally gets clear enough to try and head off the pass, and he's going to opt for the inside line and give Corey Preston the outside. Is that done? It might just be done.
Oh, a little wiggle from both of them as they exited my held corner, and now Preston's the one with the advantage. They come over Mountain Straight. He's got the wrong line though. He's on the outside here. Zach Baker doesn't know where to go as they come up towards Griffin's Bend. Preston's just ahead. They're going to go side by side. And, it doesn't quite work out for Preston this time. Rosella holds the line and looks to have that move finally done. Finally, maybe, perhaps.
Maybe. Wow, that's some good racing. We're finally going to have also an opportunity just to see what happened to Corey Preston to get himself into that position, completely losing it down at the chase. Locked the rears just on entry and took to the grass, and that is how he lost all that time. And since we have been watching that replay, he's actually lost quite a few car lengths to Luke Rosella and is still under pressure from Zach Baker there.
It's been a wild few minutes in that battle in Corey Preston's little lifetime there. So that was
his little lifetime.
A full lap of battling that we were on camera with. Oh, it's mixing me up. I don't even know what to say anymore. As we've got a drive-through penalty for Scott Nolan, who...
What is going on?
Has just come out of the pits as well, and Matthew 97 has DNF.
And Hayden W. So both the guys who got drive-through penalties early on. So that's a bit of a shame. It's brought their night to a premature close.
It brought their race one.
Their race. Having said that, we've got a 30-lap race to back this up, so plenty of time to redeem yourself. You're very right there, Michael Zalavari.
Love to hear it. Rosella not quite the best exit this time around through the chase, and Preston's incentivized to come into the pits. Very, very.
Do they both make it? Do they both make it? Luke Rosella, I thought he was sailing wide and doing an Ethan Warren there, but he managed to get it stopped. Well, did he? We haven't. I don't recall a car that's come into the pits that hasn't received a drive-through penalty at this point. So
that's true. That's true.
Will tell. I just want to draw your attention to Lewis Wedding. Here is Lewis Wedding. He is just behind Scott Nolan after starting from the pit lane. He's finally looking like he might be able to make some progress that's not caused by a car DNFing. We've got more cars in the pits. Sean Allen and David Nedidich, who have joined the two we saw coming in. We've also got Peter and someone else who's just behind the timing screen there.
That looks like Steve.
No, there's another car in front of Steve Warwick.
Oh,
there.
yes.
And...
It looks like Lime Mitch according to the timing screen. Remember, you can jump on the live timing screen at rsmclanau.liveraces.com. Click on the live server, and you get all the information that we get, and probably more, seeing as ours keeps buffering.
Someone just DNF'd. I don't believe it's updated on the timing screen, though, but I just saw a car disappear from its pit box. Corey Preston coming out of the pits, so has he put a bit of a gap between himself and Luke Rosella there?
Maybe, but the big winner out of that pit sequence is Sean Allen. Oh, and it's Peter. It's Peter who's disconnected. It's just updated now. So Sean Allen, he has come through the pits, I believe.
Yes, we just saw him coming the pits. So.
And he has gained something along the lines of 10 seconds or 5 seconds on Corey Preston. Is this Sean Allen the Featherfoot again, the fuel whisperer? We talked about this last year for the 1000. They managed to eke out 2 or 3 laps as stint, which actually paid them into a bad position.
Yeah, I was about to say, they did a big whoopsie there because of the unique safety car rules and pit stops rules. We've got the leader of the race coming in now, and he's closely followed there by Colin Warwick, who's doing a good job for his mark.
Oh, big lock-up for Warwick on the entry. He might get pinged for that one.
Well, we'll see, won't we? He did say that he was going to have a crack, and he has had a crack.
And is that Zach Baker in the background as well?
And Benjamin
also
Dahlia joining. So the top 4 into the pits right now. So we're going to see a mad shuffling of the order.
Just to round off on that Sean Allen point from the Bathurst 1000, I think my favourite part of the race in commentary was the first safety car period, doing that first run of the pit stop, the strategy overview for the race, and getting through saying that they've missed a trick by not taking the pit stop, and seeing Sean Allen reply "oops" in the live chat. That absolutely tickled me. But he's got a chance here to maybe jump 1 or 2 of these guys, as we've got Colin Warwick just jumping out of the pits behind Kurt Stenberg. There's Sean Allen in the background. He's not quite going to be able to round up the leaders. I think Kurt Stenberg has him covered off quite nicely. And it looks like Warwick got his car slowed down enough because he didn't pick up a penalty.
Well, good job. I think he may have found some time in that pit stop sequence, though. The gap currently stands at about 4 seconds.
He gained at least 7/10 according to the final sector on the the lap on their in lap. So that would be the entry to the line, because the Bathurst control line is basically at pit entry.
So, assuming the lead is Instinct and Brody Steen, those two are still occupying a similar part of the racetrack. They've been doing that for quite a bit of time, but there has been a bit of a swappy of positions.
Yeah, that has changed the last time we viewed this battle. I believe that we had Brody Steen ahead of Instinct. So that's a nice move, probably, from Instinct, or a mistake from Brody Steen. We're not sure.
Yeah, I'm just trying to look at the lap times. They're very... I was about to say they're very similar, but they're not. Brody Steen was significantly slower than Instinct on the previous lap. Whether or not that's a trend... Steen has the fastest lap by about 0.2 of a second of their personal bests.
And to cover off the issue that we saw for Peter in the pits, we've got Peter in the live chat saying that the net died on him, unfortunately. So that's our 5th retirement of the evening. Still 18 runners, which is incredible turnout for the first round of the season. As we've got our current leaders, Instinct and Brody Steen, both into the pits. So this should cycle the field.
Yes, get your soap out. That's going to cleanse the order. So Brody Steen and Adrian Instinct are about to lose out to Kurt Stenberg, who's just coming down to the final corner now on his first lap out of the pits. So a shorter run for these guys in their second stint to their first.
And here is Kurt Stenberg assuming the lead of the race, assuming he gets around turn 1. Does it nicely, so he does assume the lead. He's managed to control this gap between himself and Colin Warwick. Immediately pulled out a good... Well, he had a gap coming out of the pits, so we can see Colin Warwick in the background of shot there. And then Sean Allen as we switch to Instinct. And Brody Steen, who's pulled a blinder here to get out. That's a good 5-6 seconds ahead of Instinct there. Wow.
Great job. So I don't know if Instinct maybe just went way too conservative on his fuel, put in way too much, and Brody Steen may have calculated it just right. And it's not just a little bit, he's got a 3-second advantage, which has turned around from about a 1-second deficit, so that's like a 4-second turnaround.
That's pretty impressive.
That is impressive. Good job, Brody Steen. So he's a wily old fox, is Brody Steen, and he gets results. Even if he's not the fastest one out there, he's there to pick up the crumbs when it goes to pieces for the others.
I want to find out who Race on Oz's fuel sponsor is, because they deserve as many kickbacks as they can get.
Yeah, well, they haven't had to put much into their investment.
Absolutely.
So, I'm just interested in Sean Allen at the moment. He's only 2.5 seconds behind Colin Warwick, so I feel like he's just been edging that gap back. They've got very, very similar best laps. Colin Warwick's fastest lap is only 0.02 of a second faster than Sean's. And I'm interested to see their first flying lap out of the pit to compare and see what is the trend. Is Sean Allen chipping away at that lead, or is Colin Warwick just managing the gap?
Well, so far this lap, we've got purple sectors from both Kurt Stenberg for Sector 1 and Colin Warwick for Sector 2. So it looks like, fresh out of the pits, the fresh tyres is beginning to yield a bit of dividends for the drivers straight out of pit lane. Kurt Stenberg crosses the line. He doesn't improve on his best lap time, but Colin Warwick, a 2:05.5.
Wow.
That's quite a step up.
He's improved the bar by about 0.4 of a second on his own personal best there.
And Sean Allen improved on his personal best, but only by about 1/10 to a 2:05.882.
So perhaps that answers that question. Remember, Sean Allen's tyres are a little bit older than Colin Warwick's, but, well, maybe he's playing the conservative game, and Colin Warwick is just taking the life out of his tyres now. So it may come back to Sean Allen, but we are 14 laps into the race. There's only 6 left.
Yeah, and on that note as well, a conservative approach for Allen and Race on Oz has worked in the endurance rounds. Like, this was the first stint of the Bathurst 1000, this would be a great strategy to just kind of ease yourself into a stint. But yeah, as you made mention, 20 laps, that's only That's only, what, 125 Ks? It is, because 16 laps is 100 Ks. And 40 laps over the weekend was 250 Ks.
I can't do maths as quickly as you can when I've got... So I'm trying to do octopus arms.
I'll do the math then. So for a 125k race, there's not really any time to be conservative. You got to kind of push from the get-go, and someone who has been pushing from the get-go is certainly Kurt Stenberg. We just caught him on our other monitor make contact with the outside wall at at the elbow rather.
We're not used to this racetrack being a sprint circuit. It's very unusual.
Yeah, I had there was an interesting discussion on the Supercars subreddit, basically talking through the allure of Bathurst as the first round of the season and what people thought of it, and it kind of falls into a weird sort of no man's land, because of course it doesn't have the allure of the 1000. It doesn't have the spectacle or the fanfare of doing it in the streets of Adelaide.
Especially when there's also less fanfare, there's less people there because of the COVID restrictions.
Absolutely, but it's still Bathurst, and you still have to respect the track and respect the allure of the event. So it wasn't entirely, impressive or crazy, but it wasn't entirely a pancake either. It wasn't entirely flat. So it was kind of... I didn't really know how to feel about it.
I can see both points. Do you think it detracts from the allure of, we spend the whole year looking forward to Bathurst, but because it's this elusive thing that we never visit apart from this one special time of the year, at least in Supercars land. So does going there twice detract from the 1000?
I think not, because the 1000 is its own monster. So there is only one Bathurst 1000, and that is the race that stops the nation in October, as Kurt Stenberg's trying to do his best impression of a driver to stop his own nation.
He's far lap right now.
Oh, complete with skids? I don't know.
Yeah, let's just hope no one poisons him in the night.
Oh, okay.
Is that what happened to far lap? I'm very rusty on my horse racing knowledge.
Oh, I think that's what, like Australian history back in primary school?
Yeah. It never really served me in good stead. I remember watching Makybe Diva won her third Melbourne Cup when I was in high school, but apart from that, I don't know, the Melbourne Cup has sort of fallen away in at least mainstream memory in recent times.
Yeah, but to answer your question, I don't think having a sprint round at Bathurst removes the allure from the 1000.
Well, that's good.
I do think that I do think that the 12-hour has been sorely missed, and having some racing at Bathurst earlier in the year has been nice. Certainly would have liked to have been there, but we can't have everything. Would have liked to have been at Adelaide, but you can't have everything. Would have liked Instinct to not have DNF that we've just seen on the timing screen. But
that's a shame.
Once again, can't have everything. So that brings to a close his battle with Brodie Steen. I wonder if that is a disconnect, or if that's maybe something more sinister.
So it's a pretty safe 10th place for Brodie Steen now, because his gap to Alex Cattle, who is on the screen right now, is about 20 seconds. So Alex Cattle, he's got Lime Mitch for company. I'm just trying to see, that looks like it might be the closest battle on the racetrack right now.
It may well be. And something else to just note, just to put a pin in, is you were talking about the battle between Colin Warwick and Sean Allen. Warwick set another fastest purple middle sector on that previous lap to close the gap, actually, to Kurt Stenberg. Oh, not quite. Kurt's just a little quicker, but Warwick is certainly escaping the clutches of the race on Oz Commodore.
Okay, well that seems to be answering that question as I was musing it.
In fact, the top 5 are spreading out a little bit. Well, something we did miss in the malarkey is that Corey Preston has managed to jump Luke Rosella, whether that be in the pits or on track. He has about a second of an advantage over the 6th place Synergy Sim Racing driver. And we are trying to investigate to see whether or not there was a particularly slow lap in there. There was a missed sector time, but nothing too out of the ordinary, it doesn't seem.
It's a shame we can't see what the times from this sector time was. If we could just put an X next to it to let us know it's missed, but we don't know how much time elapsed between that sector and the one that came after it, so we don't know whether that was a loss of time And speaking of loss of time, these two are going to lose time as they go side by side. This is the second time that we've seen two cars go side by side through there tonight, and it nearly ends in disaster for Lion Mitch, who had an absolute mother and father of wiggles there, and wipes the wall up there. That would be game over in real life, but Automobilista are a little bit more forgiving on that occasion. Probably carrying a little bit of damage already from that incident where he lost his bonnet.
Yeah, that would have destroyed the Watts linkage in the old supercar.
He's closed right back up, so what linkage? He doesn't care.
Nicely done. I'll pay that. I'll pay that in dues. So, Lion Mitch...
Really? I'm not that kind of German. My name may be Schmidt, but that's very much...
wow, you have been saving me.
Don't mention the war.
Lion Mitch, right? He's in the slipstream of Alex Cattle, just bring us back on topic. He's looking for the spontaneous dive down the inside, doesn't quite get the nose in a position where it can squeeze down the inside of that race line was Commodore, but he is certainly looking fairly racy at the moment, at this point in time.
Oh, I thought he was going to have a go there, just going to squeeze it in there. Like a femme fatale, putting a knife in there, the inner part of their stocking next to the thigh, ready for... This is the kind of thing Madbird would do.
Looks like we flipped the script for the evening.
Yeah, you're the straight man. I'm the guy who brings up the weird little analogies. Not that I don't do that on a regular basis anyway, but you being able to comment on all the strategy and stuff sort of frees my mind up for shit talk. Yes.
Speaking of strategy and stuff, we should have a look at that battle between Corey Preston and Luke Rosella, because it is Toit like a Toiga.
Oh, here we go. Well,
there it is, coming into the cutting as we leave the Lion Mitch Alex Cattle battle at the elbow.
Cattle battle.
The cattle battle. I got them the other way around. It is these two that have just come out of the elbow, and they have had an impressive run-in already so far this race. This is round 2 for this battle, round 1 for the Automobilista Supercars Championship. In fact, race 1 for the year. So welcome back. First day of school. Roadies racing. What am I listening to? Mate, I don't even have any idea, and I'm the one saying it as Corey Preston just pinches the inside front wheel. Not too much damage there, but Luke Rosella is certainly looking racy, and he's fanning out into the mirrors to try and unsettle the FXG98 machine. They're both synchronized sliding off of Murray's corner as we have 3 laps remaining in this race.
Yeah, we've got to keep eyes on the leader to make sure we don't miss the end of this race, because it's very, very quickly drawing to a close as this battle gives us something to sink our teeth into with our mouth dripping with saliva for a good battle.
I thought you were just talking about food. Did you manage to finish that spaghetti?
No, I didn't. I kept slopping it all over my microphone, so eating while wearing a headset is difficult, to say the least.
So 3 laps remaining, maybe 4 or 5 good opportunities for Rosella to make a move. He's a bit narrower at the cutting, just trying to straighten out the lines and do whatever he can to gain just a tenth, just a millimeter even, on Corey Preston as they go across the top of the mountain once again. Great to see the amount of fans at the top of the mountain here once again. It's really, really good to see and have that fan interaction.
Oh, a bit of grass there for Corey Preston. Oh, and he gets all out of shape down at the S's, but somehow he managed to rejoin the track without losing the position. That was mighty close.
I do not understand how he managed to save that. That was all crossed up heading over the S's. He's managed to hold on to that position as they come onto the Conrod Straight for the penultimate time. Okay, that makes sense. Shut up.
This is the third lap. Yeah, penultimate. That makes sense. As they negotiate Brap, I was about to mention the traffic, but Brap has neatly got out of the way. They both, I think, tried to steal a little bit of a slipstream there, but I think he
He's very close, and Rosella dives out to the inside. Spontaneous move. Corey tries to close down right at the apex. Does a very good job to actually close the door there, but he's got a little bit of wheel spin coming out of the chase, and Rosella is incentivized to go around the outside into Murray. It's very difficult to make that move there, though, and he's trying to wrap around, but he rapidly runs out of road, and they're going to cross the line separated by nothing as they cross the line. Preston still with the inside line. It's a whole half a tenth between the two of them, and Preston manages to hold on to that position. Oh, but he's there, and Rosella's going to be right under that bumper once again.
Yeah, Luke Rosella had the optimum line through turn 1, and Corey Preston had a bad exit, so this spells advantage to Luke Rosella, but somehow Corey Preston has managed to keep his nose ever so slightly ahead, and then we know just how hard it is to pass through here. So Corey Preston is going to remain ahead for the time being as they once again manage to go side by side. But there's bumper to bumper action. This is hotting up in the penultimate lap of the race. Luke Rosella pushing Benjamin Dahlia like a DeLorean pushing a train.
Nuts to butts, as Madbird would say, as they fire up the mountain for the penultimate time. You've got to say, for all of Preston's problems with getting the traction down and his lack of speed compared to Rosella, who seems to be flying at the minute, he's doing a very good job of positioning his car at the crucial points to make sure that the Synergy Sim Racing Mustang is unable to find a way through.
Got through there cleanly.
Did Rosella take the inside wall there? It looked like there was a bit of a bump.
We had a bit of a wild exit there. I should correct myself. It's a train pushing a DeLorean, if anyone's familiar with that movie, and was going to give me a pedant response. But yeah, Corey Preston has gained quite a few car lengths from that mistake of Corey Preston, as Kurt Stenberg's tyres are either, well, not too good, or he's just having fun because he's been wiggling his way through the penultimate lap of this race.
And it was a good thing you corrected yourself, because we have never the realm in saying that the train did push the DeLorean.
I beat you to it. I knew what I was talking about, but Kurt Stenberg finishing his last lap there.
Oh, he's got one lap remaining.
Sorry, starting his last lap there. Sorry, guys. It's
It is the first day of school!
Oh, God.
First week back at uni as well.
We didn't miss the last lap. We're seeing the last lap. Corey Preston remaining ahead of Luke Rosella, so that battle is sort of fizzled out for now, we think. So we'll give us our race winner-elect a chance to get a bit of airtime, because he's been out all by himself for the predominant majority of this race, and what an excellent way to start the championship.
Yes.
He can bring it home from here.
Yes, a nice way to try and attack the crown that he so dearly missed at the end of last season. Had a bit of a topsy-turvy season last year, and good to see Stenberg back at the top. Was very proud of himself at the end of the 1000, despite losing the victory in the latter stages, managing to eke out a 40-lap stint or something mental like that.
Unbelievable.
And immediately jumped in the commentary box to give me the old square up for saying that it wouldn't be possible. So this has certainly been much more
bittersweet. He proved you wrong, but he lost the race. So
who was the real winner in the end there?
Well, Ethan Warren and Cole Warren.
Absolutely.
But the real winner tonight is very much looking like it's going to be Kurt Stenberg. He's just got the chase and then the final corner to negotiate, and he's going to open his account in the absolute best way possible.
Has been a dominant performance. Headlights on in celebration. He's weaving back and forth, just making sure that he has the maximum amount of style points. If he can drift it through the last sector, that'll certainly up it, but I'm sure that he can make up for it. There's the drift for Kurt. Absolutely love to see it. And of course, as he comes across the final corner, across the line, we'll certainly see some great burnouts from Kurt Stenberg, your Race 1 winner for 2021, the Automobilista Supercars.
What a great start to the season. Another excellent result there for Colin Warwick as well. 2 back-to-back podiums here at this racetrack, and then we've got Sean Allen coming across the line to round out the podium ahead of Zach Baker. And then this got a bit close towards the end here. Corey Preston just holding off Luke Rosella, who was coming at Corey Preston hard by the end of the race there. Benjamin Dahlia finishing in at 7th place, ahead of David Nenadich, and Lachlan Borky found his way into the top 10 from outside the top 10. Brody Steen finishes 10th, and then it's some ways back to Lime Mitch, who is going to come across the line in 11th place. We just saw some of the cars just parking up before they made their way back into the garages.
Just a quick note as well, we did see Brapp cross the line as well, the first runner a lap down. It looks like we've also lost Stephen Warwick from the race in the latter stages. But here's Lion Mitch coming across the line in 11th place. He did manage to overcome Alex Cattle in the latter stages. We left that battle to go and see Luke Rosella and Corey Preston. RSM Latino in 13th for the Warwick Racing team. And then the last runners are these two on screen.
There's Scott Nolan benefiting from the attrition there with 7 positions from where he started. So that's a great job there from Scott Nolan, keeping his nose out of trouble after a bit of a rusty qualifying session.
And just behind him, someone who didn't even get to qualify, Lewis Wedding. He's going to be up 8 spots.
Geez, he's done all right, hasn't he? No slouch, Lewis Wedding. He's a gun. In fact, he raced with us at in the 1000 as well. One of the unfortunate drivers who had their game crash. I believe it was him. He was about to hand the car back to Hans Brunswick, who he was partnered with for that race.
And they had the screen break up just as they were coming through the chase, and it was like on the exit of the chase that it all fell apart. But it didn't fall apart tonight for Kurt Stenberg. He takes home race 1 victory. And we don't have him in the commentary box just
we'll talk to him
yet.
Probably after the second race. Just checking in case he did jump in, but our traditional post both race interviews, I'm sure, will be in the offing. So this gives us a little bit of a chance now before qualifying to revisit the pit lane Delta conversation started by Matt Dunlop, and we'll pick that one up from the start.
When you've got drivers who are pretty evenly matched racing around a tricky, narrow circuit like Bathurst with pretty limited overtaking opportunities, pit strategy becomes a super important part of the race, especially when it's lasting over 1,000 kilometres. Now, the problem with that is when you've got 2 cars who are battling for position and then one of them takes a pit stop and fills up for fuel, they're still technically battling, but you don't know where they relatively are because one of them's dropped down the order, of course. So we have to figure out exactly how much time it takes or how much time you lose when you make a pit stop. That's what we call the pit delta time. It sounds like a pretty simple concept, but that varies from category to category and from track to track. So we're going to try and figure out what the pit delta time is for a supercar racing around Bathurst. I've got my lovely assistant Jake here who's going to come into the shot now. He's going to show you a little map that I've drawn of the bottom half of the Mount Panorama circuit, starting from the exit of the chase somewhere around here, going down under the footbridge, through Murray's Corner along the pitch straight, Hell Corner, and then up towards Griffin's Bend at the end of Mountain Straight. So, if you're not taking a pit stop, the time it takes from you to get from the footbridge here, down the track, through Murray's Corner, across the start-finish line, all the way down the pitch straight, through Murray's Corner, and up here to the pit lane blend line is 20 seconds. That's roughly 20 seconds. That's going to vary a little bit depending on the state of your car, the driver skill, your setup, yada yada, blah blah blah, that sort of thing. Roughly 20 seconds. Now, if you're pitting, it's a 2-part equation. The first part of the equation is the stop time, how long it's going to take you to actually stop and make the pit stop, right? So that's the time that you're stationary in the box. Now, the fuel rate of these cars is 3.75 litres per second, or a gallon per second in the old money, if you're my dad. Now, that if you're going to have a 112 litre fuel tank that's empty or near enough to empty, it's going to take you 112 divided by 3.75 to fill that up is going to take around about 30 seconds. So that's 30 seconds you stopped in the box. While your fuel's happening, you're also going to be changing your tyres, driver maybe, and maybe doing some repairs at the same time. So it's basically hinges on the fuel. The other half of the equation is transit time. So if you're coming in for a pit stop, the time it takes for you to get to here, slow down through here, weave through this weird little chicane, get right down to 40 kilometers an hour, that's the pit lane speed limit, crawl through the pit lane, pull into your box, stop, that's your 30 seconds, pull back out into the lane, crawl back along the lane until you get to here, turn the limiter off, gas it up and get to here. By the time you get to that point, that is going to take you 90 seconds. So get rid of that. 90 seconds. That's a minute 30. That's a lot of time. Now, to figure out the delta time, we take that, we subtract what it takes if you're racing around the outside, and that gives us 70 seconds. 1 minute 10. That is the pit delta. But that's not the whole story, because car 1 and car 2 are in very different circumstances. When car 1 here gets to the end of the pit lane, car 1 number here gets to the end of the pit lane, it's only going to be doing around 100, 110 kilometers an hour. But car number 2, by the time it gets to here on the racetrack, it's going to be doing 120, 130. That's a big speed differential. Time both of these guys get up here, up Mountain Straight to the end of Griffin's Bend, there's going to be a second between them already. That's a big difference. And you also have to keep in mind that car 1 has got a fresh tank of fuel, nice and big and heavy, full of fuel, plus fresh, cold tyres. So it's going to be limited in its cornering grip. Thank you very much, Jake. You've been excellent. No worries, man. Appreciate your time. So 70 seconds, because of other variables, like, car 2's tyres, car 2's fuel, the driver skill, setup, traffic, etc., that's going to make it pretty variable. So it's not going to be exactly 70. It's going to be 70 seconds, plus having a little bit of a buffer so you can account for your new fuel and your new tyres. It's going to be around 70 plus a little bit more. So the problem becomes, what happens if you're 65 seconds ahead of somebody that you're racing and you want to take a pit stop for fuel, but you don't want to lose track position? Well, you've got two strategies. First, you can underfuel. That's where you come in, don't fill the tank all the way up, leave a little bit of room in there, pull back out so you shave a few seconds off your pit stop time, rejoin in front of that guy, and then hold that position, defend for your life while you stretch out that stint as long as you possibly can and make a fuel saving run. Otherwise, you can fill the fuel tank all the way up, sacrifice that position in exchange for having the flexibility of the extra fuel. And then you can kind of just hope that the guy in front of you has an issue of his own. Think back to Chaz Mostert, Jamie Whincup, Bathurst 2014. Strategy is absolutely huge, especially around that critical lap towards the end of the race, and absolutely when safety cars are involved.
Wish I had a whiteboard holder that helped pay my rent. Great stuff there from Matt Dunlop explaining the pit lane delta time, and that was something that he did for our Bathurst 1000 last year. Still relevant tonight with compulsory pit stops in both races, Michael.
Absolutely right. We did see the pit lane come into effect, deciding the battles between Brody Steen and Instinct, as well as allowing Sean Allen a bit of a shot at the top two, but it was Kurt Stenberg and Colin Warwick who took home the first two positions for the first race. We are getting set and ready for the second race. I think we are in a qualifying session at the moment. Now this is a shorter qualifying session, a 10-minute qualifying session. We've joined about halfway through, but important to see here, there's been no representative laps just yet.
As you say that, two have just popped up on the board, those of Dayne Ricardo and Alex Cattle.
Oh, very tightly contested there. 13 thousandths of a second between the pair of them at this stage. Now, this isn't the end of the qualifying story, as Brap comes across the line to set a 2:08. We do have
Sean
a
Allen.
shootout just after this as well. So this is setting the all-important top 10 for the shootout. And before we go racing for the second time this evening.
Looks like we've lost a handful of runners. We've got 17 currently in this server, but that still means 7 drivers are going to miss out on this shootout. So as I mentioned earlier in the commentary, we've had quite a few servers over the years where we've only had 11 or 12 cars vying for 10 spots. There's a lot more up for grabs this time with 7 people aiming to miss out. So Sean Allen's just dipped very low into the 2:05s, the fastest lap there. But really your fast lap's a good thing here, but that's probably going to be safe enough to get him out of the top 10, so he doesn't have to worry about using up tyre sets. We're very much looking at the time after that 1 and 0, so the lap time sent by the person who's 10th, they're just going to get into that top 10 shootout.
And we'll pay very close attention to that gap as well. I think talking last year about the shootout in the 1000, we had a lap time that was less than 0.1 percentage point different at the end of the race, if I remember that correctly.
Well, Dayne did have a decent gap. That was Dayne Warren who had pole position over the next car. But I remember 2019, if you remember that was very close between Thomas McMillan and Kurt Stenberg. We had a side-by-side comparison for that year's shootout because they were just thousands of a second between them, and that was a shootout lap. Both of them pushing to the absolute maximum. Unfortunately, no Thomas McMillan here tonight. We've got word through that he's been working nights lately. So such is
growing up life.
Well, yeah, especially the young adulthood, especially. Once you leave school, a lot of jobs are evenings and weekends, and you still got to have a social life. So lots of hungover mornings and all that sort of stuff. That tends to be the story for so many people in their late teens and early 20s, and I'm glad that's behind me.
Absolutely. I can certainly remember my night shift days rotating from days to nights and back again for a few years. And I just hope that the McMillan keeps a good head on his shoulders, because those nights can get very, very long very, very quickly. But no matter, we're back here for a long night of ASC action. We're barely halfway through, Stairs, barely halfway through, as we've got 2 minutes left in this qualifying session.
And we have ourselves a benchmark as well. There it is. We're looking at it on screen. RSM Latino is in 10th. So, in fact, he's not anymore. He's been dropped. Who did go up?
Corey Preston.
6th place for him, and that puts Alex Cattle on the bubble. There's times continuing to pop up on the board. So Warwick's been cycled down to 5th.
So at the moment, Cattle's time is a 2:06.5. 2:06.56, which is important because Dane Liccardo has set a 2:06.55. So it's very close on the bubble there, and we'll keep you abreast of that time as it changes and evolves. What do you reckon, Stairs? Do you reckon a 2:05 will be safe to get you into the top 10?
Well, I'd said before that I think the 2:05.1 from Sean Allen will get you in, so I'll stand by that. That's not particularly hard. I just want to see what Zach Baker does. This is his first timed lap, and it's nowhere, not really close enough, so that's not going to get you in.
So the track was reset between the races, wasn't it?
Well, if it was, that Sean Allen 2:05.2 is all the more impressive. RSM Latino, he's down in 12th, so he was close.
And
Liccardo just goes
Liccardo improves. We did have someone else jump into the top 10 because Alex Cattle is no longer in 10th place. It's now Lachlan Bork sitting on a 2:06.417. And very interestingly, Kurt Stenberg is in 9th place and in the pits.
Yeah, that won't be good enough.
Sitting on a 2:06.2.
As I said, there's 40 seconds left, so he's done.
Absolutely.
In his qualifying session. RSM Latino 12th. Well, maybe it'll be good enough. Let's see who else. Lewis Wedding, he could pop up there and surprise a few. We didn't see his qualifying pace last time. Zach Baker, he's up by a second on his time that he set. So that is going to put him 2.1. It's on the bubble. I think he's still going to be a little bit too slow, Zach Baker, with this lap. We're watching Lewis Wedding now. Here is Zach Baker.
Well, just quickly aside, we've got a new fastest overall time, Colin Warwick, a 2:04.6.
Maybe the track wasn't reset. That's pretty good.
That's very good.
I mean, it's not troubling the Dayne Warrens or Ethan Warrens of this world, but we weren't expecting it to. 2 seconds up on his PB for Zach Baker, so he's right in the territory to knock down.
Boy, he's absolutely going to get into the top 10.
Is he going to displace Kurt Stenberg and put him on the bubble, though? That's the question.
Well, Lachlan Bork, absolutely he's going to get into the top 10, so Kurt Stenberg's going to be put into 10th. Lachlan Bork is green on this lap, which is good for him, and Lewis Wedding is up as well, so that's 2.
He's not up by enough, I don't think, Lewis Wedding, because he's only going to put himself 11th or 12th.
We'll have to have a look because time is up now, so this is it. Zach Baker comes across the line and takes
second. Wow!
34 thousandths of a second. Very, very close for Zach Baker. That does put Kurt Stenberg on the bubble though. A 2:06.246 is the time for everyone to aim at. Lewis Wedding has a chance. Scott Nolan has a chance.
He hasn't set a time yet.
Alex Cattle has a chance.
Let's watch what happens with Lewis Wedding. He's probably the most likely out of those. So he comes across the line and he only improves to 13th. So he's out of the shootout. Alex Cattle is up by 11 thousandths, so that's not going to be enough. And if memory serves, I think there was only one other car that was on a flying lap. So
Scott Nolan.
Scott Nolan's just coming across the line now. He doesn't look like he's going to trouble the top 10.
So it's down to Alex Cattle here, whether or not he can pull something out of the bag in the final sector to grab a unlikely place in the shootout, and even more unlikely displacing Kurt Stenberg from the shootout. His target time
coming into the pits.
Oh no! Oh well, that puts pay to that battle, and Kurt Stenberg gets in by the skin of his teeth. Not Madbird, Stairs.
Well, did someone turn on the soda stream? Because that was a bit of a fizzer in the end. But we've still got the shootout to come. Kurt Stenberg is going to have the... he's going to have the luxury of being the first to set a lap in this shootout.
Quite possibly could be the one that sets the pole position time, considering his...
Yeah, his original benchmark may well stay for a little while into this shootout. But that's very interesting that the man who won the previous race and won from pole position as well is only just in the shootout.
And the gap between him and Lachlan Bork was 1.5 tenths of a second, so 15 hundredths of a second. 206.246 plays a 206.471. So he was very lucky.
That's closer than he would have wanted.
Oh, absolutely. I think when Zach Baker put in that lap to go second, he would have been very, 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 very puckered.
He took a gamble. He only did one flying lap in that session, and I guess he just sort of sat there and thought, well, it's more important to save the tyres than it is to go for the second one. And it is a longer race as well, 30 laps. So that was I think it was an educated gamble on Kurt Stenberg's part there.
But the interesting thing as well was that he set a purple Sector 1 on the lap that he aborted. So he must have come across some heavy traffic or some...
Didn't want to use up a new set.
Yeah, quite possibly. He really played it fine, and he will be the first one out for the shootout when we get into it. I do like just we just had it on screen, the safety car for the evening. Is that Ujit Mishra's, how do I put it? Maligned race on Oz, not race on Oz, sorry.
Well, he's All Australian Races. He wasn't
Australian
last
Races.
year. He's a new recruit to All Australian Races. That's their fourth Tamiya car.
Must have been a very impressive showing after his 2 laps at the Bathurst 1000.
Yeah, he had for those of you who didn't see that last year, he had a very, very unfortunate week of Bathurst races that he tried to be a part of. He entered the AMS Oz, now ASR, Bathurst 500, I believe it was. Did 2 laps, disconnected. Got back into the race after the race was red flagged and people who had DNF'd were allowed back in. Then DNF'd on the second lap of the restart. And then more or less the same thing happened to him in the Bathurst 1004 ASC. So his connection, well, apparently it was the wet season in the Philippines where I believe he is based, and so some dodgy internet connections and the like put paid to his chances. So he is signed up for this year's ASC, so we do hope to see him throughout the course of the season. He's got a livery built for him, but for the time being, his car has been repurposed as a safety car.
It might actually finish a lap then. Sorry, Ujit, we love you. I very much felt your pain after that.
There's the actual safety car, by the way.
Oh yeah, does exist another safety
Exhibit
car.
A.
Yeah.
It's nicely kitted out with the new ASC logo there.
Ah,
a bit difficult to see that.
You've been very busy in the
That was not me. That was Colin Warwick. I'm not going to take credit for his work, although I've done a lot of other work not related to the liveries. And just while Kurt Stenberg is on his outlap, here is the aforementioned safety car looking resplendent. And the number plate updated for this current year that we are in, 2021. I wonder if you had to pay an extra license fee for that, for the custom plates.
Yeah, it would. that would be a brand new way to make a bit of money. We are just watching Kurt Stenberg finish up his warm-up lap. He will be the first one in the shootout. We didn't actually get a chance to go through all of the players in the shootout, but that's okay. We'll have a look as they come out onto the grid. If you want to follow along live timing as well for this session, rsmclanau.liveraces.com, and click on the live server. And if you do that, you type that real quick, you might be able to get in just as Kurt is about to start his flying lap, and the first flying lap of the shootout, the first shootout for the 2021 season.
Lots of firsts here, and the guy who finished first in race 1 is first in this session. But will he be first at the end of this session? Time will tell.
So headlights ablaze for Kurt Stenberg as he comes into Hell Corner. A little pinch of the inside left break there as he comes through, but that's a nice exit, very nice exit, and heading up the mountain for the only time he gets in this session.
Well, apart from the inland outlap.
Oh, but the only time that matters.
The only time that really, really matters. Coming into Griffin's Bend now, hard on the anchors, turning in reasonably early, maybe a little bit wide through the apex there. Let's see if you can hook it up all over the curb on the exit up towards the cutting.
It looked very unbalanced. It was nervous on the entry and nervous on the exit here. A little narrow again, and once again, power on oversteer. So the car's not quite hooked up the way he wants it, as he just tags the wall at Reed Park and slides his way under the tree.
So this is the commitment part of the track, and the track looking a little bit different. It's a slightly different time of the day in the game here, and so all your reference points look slightly different. Will that have an effect? Coming up now to Skyline, down the S's. That's pretty clean. A little bit of a lock up the front left. Emitted a few puffs of smoke. Insert analogy here. And down towards the elbow.
And coming through to the elbow, he will hit the second sector marker just on the exit. His first sector was a 51.6. His second sector, a 125.2 on the exit.
Oh!
A little bit of grass there as well to go with that puff of smoke a little earlier.
He did not want to put any steering angle at all, and in doing so, he's driven it onto the grass. I wonder if that's hurt his exit just a little bit.
We'll see soon enough as he fires his way through the chase, hugs the right-hand side of the track. A little nervous under the brakes there, but he manages to smooth it out and gets a nice run through the chase. Just the tiniest little bit of oversteer, just breaking away through the last part of the chase and into Murray's to finish off the lap. This will be the benchmark time for everyone to chase, and it will be a 2:04.9.
Oh,
pulls it out of the bag at the latter stages. Not the cleanest lap from Kurt, but still a very commendable benchmark.
Yeah, anything sub 5 is definitely going to be competitive. So Corey Preston is going to be certainly put under some pressure to try and deliver a response to that, as I believe he should be allowed to go now.
We might actually have Dane Liccardo out on track.
There's no track mark. There's no cars coming through the
unless he's just pulled out. Unless he's just pulled out of the pits. It is all very new for us as well. It's a busy evening with everything that's going on.
I think that Mishra as the safety car is actually an issue on my side. I must have not downloaded the pace car on one of my computers as it's showing up right there, but not on the other computer. So that's something for myself to resolve in the future.
Just because we made mention of them and we didn't ever round out what they were, the timing sectors on this track are Sector 1, 2, and 3, of course. Sector 1 ends just ahead of where Corey is now, just as at the change of direction underneath the tree, so right there. Sector 2 is on the exit of the elbow, and then of course you have that long run down the Conrod straight through the chase, and Murray's is your Sector 3. We do actually have Thomas McMillan in the live chat watching from work.
The work shitter.
Thank you very much for joining us, Thomas. Hope you are enjoying your break.
Hope you're enjoying our voices echoing around your work's bathroom from tile to tile.
As I kick stairs once again underneath the table.
Sad that you're not here, but hope you're earning some mad coin, as the young kid folk do say these days.
They do? Oh.
I think they should. It sounds cool. And Brunswick saying #free Thomas, as though he's being held against his will in the work lavatory.
Completely unrelated.
Sounds like something is becoming free of Thomas.
Oh.
Sorry, do go on.
It's not relevant anymore, and it's certainly not after that comment. And with Corey Preston coming up to the line, we should. Did we just break the stream? We may have just broken the stream. If you are still with us, Corey Preston is about to start his lap, and he is away through to the first sector mark.
I think they're back up and running. Apologies if there was a breakup. I just accidentally closed my internet browser. But I think we are back and up and running, and you've missed only Corey Preston taking the first corner of his flying lap. As you were, Michael. Zalavari?
Yes, just coming up to Griffin's Bend. He was very smooth through the first corner there on the entry and exit. A little narrow and a little nicer. Stays on the inside of the camber through Griffin's Bend, and now up towards the cutting. Corey Preston had a good result in race 1, ending in 5th place. As he drags a bit of licorice on the ground on the exit of the cutting. And we'll see his time to the first sector mark just across now, and it is a 51.5, and he's just up a 27 thousandths of a second through the first sector. So a little smoother through Hell Corner and a little smoother through Griffins, and that's enough for him to just edge out Kurt Stenberg. But now here's where the dance happens, down the mountain, through the S's and over through the Dipper. Nice and smooth through there, and just tiniest little bit of oversteer, just what you want as you come down to the elbow. Let's see at the second sector mark if he can keep that momentum going. And he's up again. It's 43 thousandths of a second.
It's tight.
So small margins, but small margins that are growing. Now this is the all-important Conrod straight for Corey Preston. Just 3 more corners for him to see whether or not he can eclipse Kurt Stenberg. Uses all of the apron on the right-hand side, left-hand side rather. Camera right. And he's gone deep.
Oh, has he thrown it all away? He did. He nearly bowled a wide. He didn't trouble the apex. Did he carry enough speed? It was mighty tight, so tiny little mistakes will make a difference, as Kurt Stenberg posted a very, very competitive time. Last corner for Corey Preston. To the line. He's in the 5s. He's missed out by 0.4 of a second, and it was all that mistake down at the chase.
Yeah, looking at the sector times, a 39.7 for Kurt Stenberg versus a 40.2 for Corey Preston. It was just that one little moment at the chase, and remember, Kurt Stenberg, he was ultimately smooth through the left-hander at the chase. So
he had an absolute crack. No one can fault him for that.
Oh, absolutely. Purple sectors in sectors 1 and 2 for Preston, so he certainly laid the hammer down there, but 4/10 in the final sector. That's an incredible margin that Kurt has managed to build.
Our conversation about Thomas McMillan's toilet antics has got quite a few people commenting. It must be said, the reverberation of the glorious V8 engines in that little toilet cubicle must be a thing of beauty. That's original Sticks coming up with that. And Hans B, I must say, I agree with him there. The KFC for lunch results in dropping an absolute heater right now.
Oh, well, someone who is trying to be on a heater is Benjamin Dahlia. He was 8th
good one.
in the...
Trying to keep us back on track.
Thank you. 8th in the previous session. He's starting his shootout lap as the 3rd runner on track.
You're still thinking about it, aren't you?
I had to do something to keep us in line. He got a bit of pitch in oversteer there.
Good line through there. Very, very much on the edge all the way through there.
It looked like the front was willing, but the rear just couldn't keep up as he went through Griffin's Bend, and the same through the cutting. Again, very pointy is Benjamin Dahlia's green light race on Oz machine as he comes
that livery
through to the first sector mark. And it's a 51.7, down by a 10th on Kurt Stenberg at this stage.
It's going to be hard to claw back. I must say, I must commend the Race on Oz guys. All of their team cars easily identifiable. The Tamiya, the All Australian Racers guys, I must say, that is a bit of a commentator's nightmare with 4 identical cars, bar the numbers on the windscreen.
They need to
They do look good though, I must say that.
Absolutely, they need to do what Aston Martin did with the Vantages, as Dahlia has a little bit of trouble getting down the hill. He's lost 0.2 of a second there, now 0.3 behind on this lap. The original, when they remade the Aston Martin Vantage for the WEC season, all 3 cars were absolutely identical. You can only tell the difference by the number on the side, and we actually managed to start a Twitter campaign for them to change the trim. So now they have, last season they had different ceiling bands, roof bands.
Yeah.
So you could actually tell which one was which is important when you're trying to figure out what the hell is going on in terms of strategy. But it's not difficult to figure out what's going on with the Race on Odds guys, and Benjamin Dahlia, as he comes through the final sector across the line to eclipse Corey Preston with a nice final sector.
Solid finish to that lap there.
He actually was faster than Kurt Stenberg in that final sector.
Wow.
That's impressive. So
that goes to show how costly Corey Preston's mistake down at the chase was, because that's the difference there between all 3 of them, really. So well done to Benjamin Dahlia. He's starting, no worse than 9th. And David Nidich will give us our next lap time. Hans B is a fan, says go Benjamin Dahlia. Scotty Nolan says the SSR cars are really easy to identify. One will be at the front and one will be at the rear. Oh, my condolences to you, Scotty. Saying he's had to recalibrate everything, so that's a bit unfortunate. We didn't see him in the qualifying, did we, to get into the shootout?
He set one lap right at the very end of the shootout.
Oh, okay.
Very end of qualifying.
He only just got in after doing all of that.
Yeah.
So David Nemetich comes up mountain straight for his one and only time in shootout form.
For this round.
For this round, of course.
We will still have, I assume. Oh, as he get very
that's no
understeery there at the Griffin's Bend.
Big Bash umpire still wouldn't have given that a wide, but it very much was.
Not salty there at all.
There was some bad. Hashtag Big Bash umpiring. Through the cutting there, absolutely no adhesion for David Netich's ZB Mustang.
It looks like the opposite problem to Benjamin Dahlia. Dahlia's problem seemed to be that the front was a little too warm and a little too lively. As he's 4/10 down is Nenadich to the first sector. For Nenadich, as he tags the wall, it looks like the rear is too lively and the front is just not quite keeping up as he plows again wide through McPhillamy Park. This is going to be very difficult for him coming down the mountain if he's suffering with a very unresponsive front end of the car.
Scott Nolan's got quite a responsive rear end at the moment. He's having a chocolate ice cream emoji, he says, and joining Thomas McMillan in good company.
Unfortunately, Dave Nenadich hasn't managed to join the good company of his contemporaries in the shootout so far. Second off coming down the mountain, so that understeer issue that we saw hasn't managed to work its way out of the car, and he's suffering through the final part
He'll
of the
be in the Portaloo soon, very, very angrily shutting the door. But at least his lap time wasn't 5 minutes.
Once again, very narrow at the chase.
Sorry.
No, that was a good reference. You sick reference, bro. As David Nenadich comes through the final corner. Again, a very narrow entry. It does not look like the car is compliant in shootout trim as he crosses the line, and it will be a 2:06.7, which would not have been good enough for him to get into the shootout had that been his qualifying lap.
So that's a shame for David Nenadich. At least he's 10th, and anyone who track cuts will be behind him if that were to occur. But it didn't go the way David Nenadich was hoping as he cools down and has a bit of a think about the race ahead. Luke Rosella is going to jump in. According to Scott Nolan, this will be the one that's at the front of the grid.
Certainly the one who qualified closest to the front of the grid as he comes through the final corner at Murray's to start his lap. Rosella was really the breakout driver for me last year in terms of ASR and Automobilista Supercars as he puts some licorice down on the tarmac, well the concrete overhang of the curve there heading up Mountain Straight. Seems to just jump into everything he touched last year and be extremely quick in it.
Yeah, and he became quite a good defensive driver as well. He was good at getting himself up to a position and then holding on to that position. Well, having said that, he did have a good qualifying session in the first race that he didn't really manage to convert. He was in the thick of the action after losing quite a few spots early doors.
A little pinch of the inside left tyre there, very easy to do through the cutting. 6 into 1 elevation change. He comes through the first sector mark and he's green by a bit.
Whoa.
3/10.
That is impressively. And it didn't look like it wasn't theatrical, it was just clean and smooth but fast. 3/10 up.
And I think that very much typifies the Luke Rosella experience. Clean and smooth and fast. Pardon?
He's been working on his qualifying during the summer.
He's had to do something over the summer holidays for Rosella, of course.
I believe he's Adelaide based. I'm sure someone will correct me if I'm wrong, but I mean Adelaide, one of the places in this country that has been, we haven't been locked inside. We've been able to go about our business.
Look at that number, 5/10 now. This is lap of the gods sort of stuff here from Luke Rosella as he fires down Conrod Straight.
You missed a trick there. Look at the split. It's awesome.
Oh!
It was 5/10 on an already impressive flying lap. So if he can nail this final sector, he's on target for a 2:04.4. That would be something.
Oh, beautiful through the chase. Nicks the curb on the left-hander. No break of traction as he comes back to the right. He has one more corner to negotiate for this to be an absolutely stellar lap does nicely, just a little wiggle as the curb unsettles the car, and it's a 204.6, so not the outright heroics that we saw from Kurt Stenberg and Benjamin Dahlia in the final sector, but certainly good enough to take provisional pole position at this stage of the shootout. Well done, Luke Rosella.
Yeah, that was a very, very impressive lap there from Luke Rosella. I think maybe he was just a little bit conservative in that final sector. Maybe he missed a gear, but I think probably more likely, I think he just didn't want to throw away a really, really good lap down at the chase, and he's ended up with what will be a very solid starting position. I think we saw Colin Warwick do something similar to that lap time to get into the shootout, so he's capable of that. But I don't know, I think this could be like a front row start for Luke Rosella. It would take some effort for more than a few cars to get in front of him. So,
and Brody Steen's going to have difficulty getting onto that sort of lap time as he is sideways on the entry to the to Griffin's Bend.
Brody Steen didn't start inside the top 10 for race 1.
He started 10th. I remember because he qualified. He improved his lap on the last lap of qualifying, but did not improve his position. But he's looking to improve his position here. He qualified in this session in what would have been 5th place. So he's done quite an alright job, but he's already half a second down at the first split.
Yes, we say that in hushed tones, like someone in a library trying not to annoy the librarian, but that is the case. So, well, half a second down on Luke Rosella, though, having said that. So, you know, if he still maintains a similar gap, then he's slotting in somewhere around Benjamin Dahlia or Corey Preston. David Nedidich should be reasonably easily covered here.
As he does well to exit the cutting. That's actually a very good exit of Griffin's Bend. He's a second down. Oh, I got the corner name there wrong twice. The elbow, in fact.
What did you call it?
I called it first the cutting, then Griffin's Bend. It is in fact the elbow that takes you
get the cutting and the elbow mixed up quite a few times somehow.
Yes, it's because they're both slow hairpins. Not this one. This one mixed up. The chase as Steen brakes very nicely. A little bit of an early turn in there, but he's made it work for him. Just the tiniest breakaway in traction as it comes up to Murray's corner. He's sitting just around a second away from Luke Rosella, so at this stage just outside of Corey Preston's time. He comes across the line and slots into 5th place, 1.3 seconds away from pole position.
Lost a fair bit of time in the end there, and that's a gap of about 0.5 of a second to Corey Preston ahead of him. So, well, he didn't qualify that well in race 1, but he did okay out of that, so perhaps improvement is to come in the race. Here's his teammate, Sean Allen, in the ZB Commodore. He got himself a handful of wins last year, and I recall a couple of those in Darwin. There were some good strategy calls from Sean Allen throughout the course of last year, and he had a solid race in race 1. He finished 3rd, and here is his qualifying lap.
So up to Griffin's Bend for his first outing, his only outing, and a narrow line, but uses the camber very nicely to ride all the way over that curve. Very nice and smooth as we come up to the cutting. Again, very smooth. It's looking quite nice for Sean Allen so far as we still make our way up the mountain. There's a little bit of liveliness in the rear end.
More lively than you normally see Sean Allen.
And he's not far away, you know.
He's generally a pretty smooth operator. Yes, he's not far away, only just under 1/10 of a second between himself and Luke Rosella's first sector split.
He was wide at McPhillamy though, didn't quite manage to get the ideal line, and it's had to narrow him up over Skyline, and that's very untidy.
Oh no, that's the lap right there. Do you reckon he got a track cut?
I think the way that he's rolled out of it indicates that he might have grabbed a track cut there. We'll find out at the next sector because it may or may not come up for him.
Yeah, eagle-eyed on that sector split.
And it doesn't come up, so there is the track cut for Sean Allen.
Yep, there it is, yep. Ticked over into sector 3, and that'll be a non-finished lap. So David Nenadich, by virtue of having finished that lap, is going to not be last in this shootout. It's going to be Sean Allen.
And I wonder if we have a chance, Des, if we can have a quick look back at his run through McPhillamy, if we can just set that up. I'm really putting you under the pump here.
We'll just have a quick look at Zach Baker for the time being while we queue that up, who's just on his out lap. We'll get a chance probably just before he finishes his warm-up lap to have a look at that replay.
So we'll keep going back a bit further because I want to see that line through McPhillamy, because you can see as we just queue it up. Here we are. We're just going to catch Zach Baker's start. So you can see the wide line here through McPhillamy meant that he couldn't get back over to the left-hand side of the road for Skyline. That narrowed his entry, and then that's what pushed him over the S's. That's where he got the track cut, and it was all because of that run through McPhillamy. Well done, Stairs.
Good pickup there. No, that really sort of showed how what we saw as the result came a lot earlier in the lap, and that's really what this track is about in the middle sector, is these sorts of corners going into other corners, and a slightest little mistake will have dire consequences, sort of, hundreds of meters down the track.
So we've got Zach Baker, who was the second fastest qualifier in the session, only just being eclipsed by Colin Warwick. Narrow entry on both occasions for Zach Baker to those two corners. We just had a question from NZ Snipes Gaming in the live chat asking, where's Dayne? And that is a question that's worth asking, because we did see Dayne come out of the pits, but we did not then see him.
Well, Dayne Warren's not here tonight.
Dayne Liccardo.
Oh, Dayne Liccardo. Well, he's in the server.
Maybe he's had a disconnect. He did disconnect from the first race on the formation lap, unfortunately. We're focused in on Zach Baker. He was a 51.4 to the first sector, which only puts him just 0.08 of a second away from Luke Rosella's time. And he's dancing his way down the mountain now. Hugs the wall very nicely there into the elbow. I got it right that time. Little pinch of the brake, so not quite the ideal exit, and he's lost 0.7 this time to the second sector mark.
Yeah, so that'll probably cost him down Conrod straight through here. So yeah, 0.7, that's going to put him roughly square with Corey Preston, but he might be losing more time. Was it Corey Preston who had a decent final sector?
It was the other way around.
He had a bad final sector.
Yeah.
So yeah, Zach Baker may well finish ahead of Corey Preston then if he manages to have a clean exit out of the chase.
It doesn't quite look like the rear of that car is compliant as the front tries to turn in. He looks like he's having a few little moments as he tries to get that rear in. As he comes through the final corner, that was a little better, and he jumps up to fourth, so it was actually ahead of Corey Preston there.
Yeah, well, that's what we were expecting, because remember, Corey Preston had that little mistake in there, and big call there from the Big Movie Trivia Quiz. Kurt should win the Big Movie Trivia Quiz, who I'm sure probably would have picked up on my Back to the Future gaff earlier on.
So here is our final runner for the shootout, which means we've lost two from the shootout at some point. Steve Warwick in the live chat saying Dayne Liccardo didn't get to pit exit on time, hence why he didn't qualify. And of course, Sean Allen's lap time hasn't appeared because he got a track cut, which is why we only see 7 times for the shootout thus far, with one more to run.
Yeah, so there'll only be 8 times in the end, with Dayne Liccardo and Sean Allen, the two not to set a time, and so Colin Warwick will be the last man to try and topple that time set by Luke Rosella.
He set a 2:04.4 to get into this session, did Colin Warwick, so he certainly has it in him as he starts his lap very late on, weaving his tyres right up to the final corner, and here we go through hell and out the other side very nicely, very smooth on the exit there, using all the curb nicely and without a touch of oversteer.
Yeah, it's a very good first corner. Many to go, but Colin Warwick was very, very fast in the qualifying session to get into this shootout, and if anyone can trouble that time set by Luke Rosella, it's him.
Oh, a little wide there through the middle part of Griffin's. Just looked like it was a little nervous on the front coming into the braking area, but it's still good at this stage.
A little bit wide on the exit of the cutting, but if he's carried the speed, probably shouldn't matter too much.
And here's the first indication we'll get. Is smooth under the tree, and it
was close.
0.06 of a second is the difference.
That's mighty close, that is. Well, absolutely no inch spared up to through the grate there. Oh. Can he get it over to the left-hand side like Sean Allen didn't do? Down through the S's, looks good here. Gets it stopped. gets the nose in, maybe a little bit late on turn in there, but that's just me being extra pedantic.
But you have to be extra pedantic coming down the mountain if you want to beat Luke Rosella to come through the elbow. It's looking very nice. It's looking very tight. Again, right up to the wall, and it's 2/10.
Just those little things just added up. And it's not quite there. He's going to slot in but ahead of Kurt Stenberg at this rate, but behind Luke Rosella unless he's got some almighty answer through the final sector. Remember, Luke Rosella was a little bit conservative in the final sector.
So he comes into the chase now, breaks it in a straight line, turns it in nice and early, uses a lot of curb there, uses the most curb out of everyone, and manages to keep the rears connected as he comes through the right-hander. This is going to be a mighty lap from Colin, but is it going to be enough for pole?
Last corner here for Colin Warwick. He's just got one application of the throttle, gets it on the grass and throws it away. And it's invalidated his lap.
It's a track car on the final corner.
Potential pole position to starting at the back of the top 10. We've had 3 drivers not set a time in this shootout, and Luke Rosella will get his first pole position in Automobilista Supercars Championship history. What a great job from him. He'll have Kurt Stenberg alongside him. And we'll have Colin Warwick, Dane Liccardo, and Sean Allen starting in 8th, 9th, and 10th.
Wow, what drama. It was looking very, very close right up to the last lap, but it was...
You can tell he's gutted just from the way he's driving on this cooldown lap.
Well, the time didn't tick over. He missed the sector mark. He missed the sector. He missed the control line, so the time never stopped. So he's still technically on his shootout lap.
Is he going through just to set it so that he's ahead of the other 2 who didn't set time?
I think he might have just figured that out, because that would be, that would give him 2 positions on the grid.
There's a 3000 IQ moment right there. That is, well, those 2 positions are going to be worth a fair bit of track position. If you can do that, then why wouldn't you?
Yeah, and you made mention that, who was it, Dave Nerdich might not end up with the 5 effing minutes lap time, but we might see one from Colin. He might have been instructed to park it here.
Maybe he didn't have enough fuel.
Oh, possibly.
We'll see if we have enough time in this session to get a replay of that from Colin Warwick. Hopefully the session doesn't tick to an end before that. We
have 20 seconds, Des. We're putting your director, TV director.
No, it's gone through.
No.
Because he's jumped out of the session. So we've lost that. Unfortunately, we're just about to catch the replay of that. I guess you could go back on YouTube and watch it again. Unfortunately, we won't get to see that again on the stream, so that's a bit of a shame. I would have liked to see just how close that was.
We'll see it in the next round wrap-up video, won't we?
You're putting me in it there. I don't know if I'll have time to do that. But he was just fighting. He was trying so much. He knew, I think, that Luke Rosella had a little bit of a steady final sector, and so pole position was there on a plate ready to grab. But he had to have a crack, as he said, and so doing that final corner as fast as he possibly could, that was what he was trying to do, and he just got wide. He was just on the grass, he was well wide, and he was trying so hard to get it back towards the racetrack, and in the end it just kept getting away from him, and in the end it didn't even cross the line.
Yeah, that's what it's like at Murray's Corner. You don't really get a chance if you make a mistake to gather it all up. So unfortunate for Colin, he'll have some work to do, starting from the tail end of the top 10 to try and fight his way through to take a second position. But we will see all of that action coming up very shortly. We have a 30-lap race.
30 laps,
for the second round of the evening's entertainment. Once again, 2 times fuel and a compulsory pit stop. Join us over on the Automobilista Supercars Championship Facebook page. You can follow live timing at rsmclan.au.liveraces.com and support the stream, support us here, support Stairs and all the work he does with Patreon. Also be a part of our series partners, Jinx Shifters, CardFX, and I missed the first one, so I'm not going to...
That's all right. Let's just have a bit of a reminder of all the passing opportunities around this magnificent racetrack.
So here in the Cartex bunker before the race, we're going to be talking about something that you need to be doing during the race, because it's all well and good having the one lap pace around this mountain, but what's important around here is where you are at the end of lap 161, and to do that, you need to be thinking about setting up the pass. This is a problem around Bathurst because there aren't really too many opportunities to set up a pass here, and that means you've got to be thinking about your competitors. Now, late on in the race, when you're in stint 6 or stint 7, and you've got 10 laps left of this race, and the red mist is coming down, that becomes very, very difficult. But the things you've got to be thinking about is where is your pace advantage and how do you use your pace advantage. Now, this is part of where having the straight right line speed at the end of the race is an absolute luxury, because this makes this equation much, much easier. So where are the passing spots here? We've got about 6 passing spots around this 6.213 kilometre circuit. The two most obvious would be at the Chase and at Griffin's Bend. You can chuck a sneaky pass up at the cutting or at the elbow, or one at the bottom of the mountain in Hell Corner and Murray's Corner. So let's have a bit of a talk about the Chase first. So the most obvious passing opportunity on the track would be the Chase. And there's a few little things that you can think about when trying to set up and move into the Chase. First off, you can try and be spontaneous, take that late dive and arrow it towards the apex. The problem with that is it's dangerous. You can get caught by outbraking yourself or by getting blocked by the car in front of you, especially late on the race where the cars are going to be fighting for keeps, as we've seen in the real Bathurst 1000. But what you can do to get it much better is to set it up. So if you're thinking about your exit from the elbow here, if 1 kilometer here at the apex, the difference of 1 kilometer works out to 5 kilometers, 6 kilometers at VMAX down at Conrod Straight. So if you get it done right, you can get it done before the kink. Now, the way that you do this, so we've got our 2 little magnetic cars here, is you force your leader, you force the guy you're trying to pass into blocking you on the inside, taking that defensive line. So what's going to happen there is they're going to move, take the early apex and come out wide. Now that is slow. That means that at the bottom of the straight, they're going to be going slower. What you can do there instead is take this wide high line and arrow back in like the line at turn 4 at Simmons Plains, because that is fast. And if you get that done right, what that means is that by the time you get to the kink down the end of Conrod Straight, you've already got the move, you've already made that position, and you can charge on up the field. At Griffin's Bend, it's a similar sort of story. So if we remove this and head to Griffin's Bend, you do the same sort of thing, setting it up out of Hell Corner. But there's a big difference. At Griffin's Bend, if I draw in a quick little sneaky turn 2, there's a camber change in the middle of the corner. So if I draw in here, this is the sort of joining of the road. So what you've got on the inside is you've got camber that pulls you into the corner, and then on the outside, you've got the change in camber, which pushes you away. Now, this complicates the issue because what really matters when getting into Griffin's Bend is the high ground, is that inside line. Because if your blocker is on the inside there, they can do whatever they want. They've got the inside line and there's nothing you can really do on the outside. So what we saw at this year's Bathurst 1000 was for someone like Brody Kostecki really pushing in to try and make use of that camber. But really, if you get the high line at Griffiths Bend, you've got that move done before you get to the cutting. The next best passing opportunity on the track is the cutting or at Forest Elbow. Now, this is the part of the track where you can use your cornering speed advantage to make a move. And this is all about bravery and it's about car positioning. What you can do here that you can't really do at the Chase is you can get a bit lucky with getting around a block here or positioning your car in a way that the block doesn't ever come. So the normal line through the cutting or the elbow for the first car is kind of a little bit like this. You got the bank to the inside, come wide, and then come back through. That's a really bad drawing, but you'll see what I mean in a second. Again, the cutting has this little bit of camber in the middle of the corner, so you want to stay on the inside of that. So what you can do as the following car is hug this inside wall and take away that car positioning there, and all of a sudden you have the high ground and you have that inside line. And that's how you get a pass done at the cutting. The elbow is basically the same. The only difference is this camber in the middle is gone. Everything about the elbow is downhill, so you're fighting understeer that whole way down. The problem with doing it at the elbow, though, of course, is once you get to the end of Conrod Straight, you're going to be in a little bit of strife. So the last decent passing opportunity of the lap is here at Murray's Corner, and I like this one very much because it is simple. It is very, very simple. All you need is a good run out of the chase. You don't even need that much of a pace advantage. And the good thing about having Murray's and Hell back-to-back is if you're attacking, it's hard to defend both at the same time. So if we get our little cars in here, we'll have our attacker on the outside and our defender on the inside. The defender is going to take a line something akin to that. Now remember, early apex means slow down the straight. On the other hand, the attacker can come in wide and then get that arrow run down the straight. So once you get to the start-finish line, you end up having a situation that looks something like this. So you can see here, the attacker's already got the high ground there, already got the inside line, and then once they get to Hell Corner, they can just take that inside line and power up the hill, and if they need to, they can even block the initial defender a bit wider and get that run. Of course, the problem is you get that bad exit out of Hell Corner, you're going to be vulnerable at Griffins, and then the whole problem starts again. And that's how you set up a pass around this 6.213 kilometer circuit. Back to you guys.
Welcome back to Mount Panorama for the first round of the Automobilista Supercars Championship and the second race. This is the racetrack that we all know so well indeed. The cars are just taking off on their warm-up lap now. Seen the race lap records disappear in this night of action, or the qualifying records, but we still have mighty good action, Mike.
Absolutely, that battle between Luke Rosello, Corey Preston, Benjamin Dahlia, and Zach Baker in that first race kept us intrigued for minutes on end, laps on end, and it's a testament to the drivers that we've managed to get through the night mostly unscathed so far. And it is going to be Luke Rosello that leads us away for this second race this evening, a 2:04.6 in the shootout, taking him to pole position. He has Kurt Stenberg for company, who only just snuck in on the seat of the skin of his teeth for that second place. We're just suffering a few technical difficulties here, as it looks like we've lost the stream for a moment. Just keep it going. So while Stairs works through that, I'll take us through the rest of the grid. Third place is Benjamin Dahlia, and fourth place will be Zach Baker in the ZB Racing 512. Corey Preston starts in third this evening for the second race, and it'll be Brody Steen out of sixth place. Brody unlucky not to get a better lap in. Not as unlucky as Dave Nenadich, who seemed to be having a lot of problems on his shootout lap. Colin Warwick, we saw Colin Warwick cross the line and lose his lap time. Apparently an internet disconnect issue right at the very worst possible time, for him, throwing away a 2:04.6 apparently. So unfortunate for Colin, he starts down in 8th. Then we have Sean Allen, who cut the track at the S's after running wide at McPhillamy. He's in 9th. And Dane Liccardo, who didn't set a lap time in the shootout, rounds out the top 10.
Behind him, we've got Lachlan Bork starting out of 11th place for all Australian races. Then we've got Alex Cattle in the race honours, number 22 there in red. Lewis Wedding in 13th place. That's a bit better than pit lane start that he had for the start of the first race. Scott Nolan in 15th place in Synergy Sim Racing second car. Brap will start out of 16th place, and Steve Warwick, last man on track in 17th. And if you experience some lag during the warm-up, we apologise. We think we've got on top of it now, so let's hope it remains for the remainder of the race. So good timing with even our technical things have been fortuitously timed. One thing, Michael, I will say is that the schedule had 10 laps in this, but we're getting 20. According to the information I've got on the screen, so we've got an extra 10 laps out of this race.
Brilliant. That ties in very nicely with the two 250k races for the real deal. We got 225k races tonight, and we are just moments away from the start of the second race of the evening.
Gert Stenberg very far forward in his grid. Luke Rosella's got a little bit of work to do to hold on to that first position that he's got from Pole, and Kurt Stenberg is going to drive around the outside, and he'll go up Mountain Straight in the lead. A bit of biffing and barging going on behind, but it looks like they've all got through cleanly. And Kurt Stenberg leads the way. Luke Rosella, though, in his slipstream, they have a little bit of a gap to the cars behind, though. Look at that gaggle.
Yeah, Benjamin Dahlia is the cork in the bottle as Rosello tries to go around the outsides. We're on board with Corey Preston here for just a moment as they come through Griffin's Bend. Preston got a great start but had nowhere to go, and they're all side by side coming up the mountain. Here we are again on board Corey Preston as we're just underneath Zach Baker's rear wing, heading into the cutting. Oh, close stuff here. Very, very tight. Oh, there's a bit of a moment there for Preston. Not sure if he jumped or if he was pushed on that one, but it's no harm, no foul in the end.
And as they come across, look at Luke Rosella almost pushing Kurt Stenberg as they go through the grate for the first time. And Benjamin Dahlia into third place. Luke Rosella and Benjamin Dahlia, the two hot shoots from last year, in second and third place, giving Kurt Stenberg what for.
They file down the mountain for the first time this race. It is Stenberg, Rosella, Dahlia, Baker, Preston, Steen, Allen, Warwick, Book, and Liccardo is your top 10. David Nedich, Lewis Wedding up one position. Cattle, Nolan, RSM Latino, Brapp, and Stephen Warwick is your field coming out of the elbow.
Whoa.
And big power oversteer moments for a lot of the drivers through the field.
I saw Brody Steen. I thought he was going sideways, but I've been very impressed with the first lap driving I've seen on both the races we've had tonight. Super close racing, but no one in the fence.
Speaking of super close, here comes Luke Rosella to the inside through the kink at the chase. Takes the line. He's going to go around the outside at the left-hander though. And Kurt gives him room, plays him a lot of respect. And Rosella might just have the power to come through on the inside. Not quite there. We've got the best seat in the house on board Benjamin Dahlia's Commodore. They come through into Murray's Bend. Oh, very close one thing.
Love tap, baby, love tap.
As we're now on board Zach Baker, not quite as close as Dahlia, and as we go back to the wide angle. First lap down, Stenberg from Rosella, from Dahlia, from Baker, Preston, Steen, Allen, Warwick, Liccardo, and Bork is your top 10.
So Colin Warwick not improving at all, because he did end up 8th anyway, ahead of the two cars in 9th and 10th at the start. So
he's having a look though. He's having a look at Brody Steen. He's got a little bit of a gap behind him, and it looked like that was Wedding and Bork side by side heading into Griffin's Bend. As we're on board with Colin Warwick now coming up towards the cutting. He has a Race on Oz amber light ahead of him.
These guys, sorry to cut across you there, that these guys are out of position, but you know, they're out of position with each other, who they're normally battling anyway, so they've got, it's all the more difficult to make their way through the field, It's kind of like, you know, when a Mercedes finds itself at the back of the grid with when Ferrari was still fast with a Formula One, or with a Red Bull, you know, in 15th and 16th, they still have to pass a car that they're normally passing anyway.
And the thing is as well, the cars ahead of them aren't easy beats either. You know, there might not be the absolute outright pace of the likes of Kurt Stenberg or Luke Rosella, but it's still a few very, very good pedalers in the mix there. As we just saw Corey Preston sideways through the Essence.
He actually tagged the wall just before that, so he got himself all out of shape and has put himself under increasing pressure from those two Race on Oz cars and Colin Warwick behind them.
So he's acting like a little bit of a cork in the bottle for the Race on Oz pairing. This is allowing this group, Luke Rosella, Kurt Stenberg, who looks to the inside once again.
Wow.
Same move as last time. That was very spontaneous from Rosella. Doesn't quite have the track position as he did last time, but he gets a much better run this time. Kurt has a little bit of a moment. They're going to go side by side into Murray's once again. Second verse, same as the first, to use a stairsism.
I got that from someone else, I'm sure, but I'll take credit for that. Great job there from all three of them. Benjamin Dahlia buying into this as well. Oh, if someone is around at the final corner.
That looked like it was Corey Preston.
Yeah, and he was actually involved in that battle with Brody Steen and Race on Oz. They got pretty sideways, pretty side by side, I should say, on the way back. So we'll sort of investigate that one while we remain looking at the leading battle.
Yeah, we were trying to watch two screens at once. We only had a picture-in-picture, but we can't leave this because Dahlia's now got the run on Rosella, and he goes to the outside into Griffin's Bend. It's going to be very difficult to make the move around there, but he gets his inside wheels tucked in on the camber. Doesn't quite have the stones to stay with it the whole way around. So Dahlia tucks in behind. It is still Stenberg, Rosella, Dahlia, and Baker as your front four.
And here is Brody Steen's view of the Corey Preston incident. He probably had the best view here because he kind of had something to do with it by the looks of it, and that was a hefty impact with that tyre wall.
And it only goes to show it's only just the lightest touch that turned Corey Preston's race from gold into the wall.
I think Corey was having a bit of an issue anyway because he was mighty slow through there, and Brody Steen was a long way back, so maybe he was just caught out. I don't know if that's fully on Brody Steen or Corey Preston just making a mistake. What's your view on that?
Well, it's hard to blame the leading car in that sort of situation. It looked like Brody went fairly deep. It was only the lightest touch, but that's all it needs to be when you're on the absolute limit at Murray's corner.
Colin Warwick for company now. Sean Allen has been released, and he was he was just between those two cars a few moments ago. So
and Warwick's looking very racy here. He's tucked right up under the rear wing of the Mustang, the giant rear wing of the Mustang, and he's pulling the Luke Rosella, we're going to call it, and forces Steen right to the edge of the track.
Good racing from these two. All over the curb though for Brody Steen. As I said, that he's going to get a bad exit. Somehow he's still a nose ahead of Colin Warwick, but he's got himself up on the inside. Brody Steen eases out of that one, I think, a little bit, and Colin Warwick is going to get that move done. Very much the second fastest car on track today, I think.
And he actually held Steen a little high and dry there. It's inviting that Dayne Warren.
Oh no! It's 3 into 1, does not go, and somehow they're all facing the right way still.
Oh, you could see that coming from a mile away. Ricardo had the eyes on, thought he had the move, and I'm not sure if Steen was pulling out to attack or defend, but in the end it didn't matter because the contact was made, and it was very lucky that we didn't see 3 cars turned around there.
Here's 3 cars doing pretty well. In fact, 4 cars, I should say. Zach Baker is clawing his way onto this leading trio.
So these 4 are a good 3 seconds ahead of the next group on track, which is Sean Allen. Then that battle between Colin Warwick and Brody Steen, which is actually now including Dane Liccardo, David Andrews, and Lachlan Bourke. So that's a 5-car train that we've just pulled up here.
Oh my goodness!
And it's a pack of horses, a set of 4 Mustangs here, as they fly across the top of the mountain. Oof. Ooh,
a few thoroughbreds in there. Mustang, 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 Mustang.
Mustang, Sally. I wonder if any of these guys know anyone called Sally. Anyway, as they come down the hill.
Sure. Having said that, I don't. But here's Kurt Stenberg under increasing pressure from Luke Rosella. He hasn't been able to break that toe.
And yeah, none of these group has really managed to jump away or to make a move at the moment. Dahlia's had the best seat of the house in the front pack battle, but we got 2 Formula 3 stuff here between Rosella and Stenberg. We just cut away from that at the wrong moment as they all dive into the chase, but we're going to have to cut back to what we were just looking, because they're diving out here, left, right and centre.
Oh no! Oh, I thought that was going to end in tears all over the curb, unsettled. You want to jump on the brakes, but somehow they all get it stopped, and they've done a mighty good job of doing that. So the Zach Baker car in the middle of 2 Tamiya pieces of bread.
And it looks like Bourke was having a look there, but didn't quite get it all tied up. In fact, Nenadic has a bit of a moment there, and he's had to file back into line. Bourke swings to the inside, and it's a matter of bravery into turn 1. You almost want someone to just throw it.
Bro!
Not off the track like that.
Wow, that was a hell of a save, I must say. Brody Steen, I thought I saw in the foreground as well, just before that, recovering to the track after a minor off. There's some snipes going on in the chat from NZ Snipes saying that wasn't the best move defensively. A good move. Movie Trivia Quiz saying good, he's not a very good driver.
And that wasn't the best move defensively from Liccardo, running a little wide on the exit of Griffins, and he's got Nenadic for company as they come up to the cutting. 2 into 1 doesn't go there, and it was almost a nuts to butt situation for those guys. They've actually let Brody Steen step away. And more than that, this battle at the front is stepping away from Dahlia and from Zach Baker.
That's only happened in the last few sort of camera shots, actually. I think Benjamin Dahlia must have made some sort of mistake, I think, because he was very, very close behind them still.
Yeah, half a second to the first sector mark for Dahlia.
Oh, that's a big hit with the wall for Luke Rosella. First mistake I think I've seen him make tonight.
Oh, he did make that one mistake early on where he dropped a few positions
You're right,
out of the chase. So, not first mistake we've seen.
This race, anyway.
Yes, this race indeed. But he's still very close to Kurt Stenberg, and they've broken the back of Dahlia a little bit to step away to about a second lead over the next group. It's fourth, fifth verse, same as the first this time. Rosella to the inside, but doesn't quite have it deep enough to get on the inside of Kurt Stenberg.
Meanwhile, side-by-side action, third verse, same as the second and the first. Very uncreative songwriter here as Nenadic takes to the grass, and there's banging going on. The two Tamiya cars costing each other time. And, well, this is getting a little bit silly now as they go three wide. Down the inside goes Dayne Liccardo. That's up on the curb. Gives David Nenadic a little bit of what for. And that's going to allow the other one, Bork, into the inside. And look behind them. Don't look now, but that's Lewis Wedding. Oh, he's sailed into the wall. He's escorted him. I hope he didn't have to pay for the girlfriend experience there, because that is not what I asked for. My goodness gracious me. Lewis Wedding coming in for 1, 2, maybe 3 free spots as the two Tamiya cars go side by side almost into Griffin's Bend. You haven't missed anything up front, ladies and gentlemen. It's still as you were. Gracious me.
What do you make of that? Liccardo, that was forceful, you'd say.
Yeah. Up until that moment, I thought that the standard of driving tonight's been absolutely grandiose, but that was probably a little bit sloppy.
Yeah, it was spontaneous coming out of the chase. He dived to make that move and really sort of take advantage of where Nenadic was trying to be defensive, but into turn one, you can't be throwing moves like that.
They're not playing the team game, are they?
No, obviously not.
Certainly going for it. And I think Lewis Wedding, he's a wise head on young shoulders.
It's his birthday today, by the way.
Oh, happy birthday, Lewis Wedding. What does that make him? Oh, he's not that old. He's low 30s, which when I was 18 seemed very, very old, but now it seems like, you know, anywhere between. Wow. Yeah, anywhere from like 20 to 40 just seems like the same age to me. Here we go, change of position going on here by the looks of it, as Dayne Liccardo has it go. Yep. Lost that position, did Dayne? Is he going to give it up?
Is he going to get let down?
Fastest lap.
Yeah.
2:05. So he's still not a huge distance ahead of Luke Rosella.
So for context, there was a 2:05.71 for Kurt Stenberg to set the purple fastest lap of the race.
You can barely take our eyes off these.
Was a 2:05.80, so 900 separating them, even though that was the fastest lap of the race from Stenberg. And they're the only two in the fives, let alone the only two in the sixes at the moment. They're streaming away at the head of the field, with Dahlia and Zach Baker actually very close together, but not as close as Liccardo and Wedding this time around up Mountain Straight.
Yeah, Dahlia lost that position to Zach Baker.
Oh, well, there you go.
So this is going on. Luke Rosella, what are you doing, Dayne? He's turned in. That was Lewis was far enough alongside. He'd earned some space there.
And this is going to end in tears here because Dayne's not going to give this up.
Oh, what the hell is he doing?
That is Greg Murphy and Marcus Ambrose 2005. And
poor
you can see it coming from a mile
Lewis
away.
Wedding got tangled up in that as well.
Yeah, here we go. And you can see Dayne's on the inside here. He's not giving an inch, but he really has.
Look at that.
3 into 1 doesn't go.
Lewis Wedding, I think he got away without damage, but he got tagged up in that. He was clear of it. Let's go back and see a replay of some sort of onboard here. So this is the point here, probably about here, where you've got to back out of it. There's 2 cars on the outside, and he goes into... He was not making that corner. What on earth was he doing?
He's ended up in the residency at the top of Mountain Straight there, and quite honestly, you can't say that he doesn't deserve a DNF for that, and I'm going to put my hat into the ring here and say he probably deserves to miss around for that one as well. And he's somehow back on track, by the way. We've got
So he didn't get the DNF that you were hoping for?
There's nothing I can say in support of Dayne Liccardo. Sometimes you just have to know when you're going to give it up. And he let us down. And he ran around and he's hurt us.
It's just stupid. I'm still gobsmacked. Another chassis destroyed for Ultimate 9 Racing, says Hans B. Well, Lewis is still going. We'll see if we can get some vision of him. If that's who you're referring to, Lewis. Hans. He lost a bit of time, but I think the car's tracking straight. And ish. I thought he'd been completely wiped out by that, but he drove off while we were still sort of picking our jaws up off the floor. It was a teammate he took out, wasn't it?
It was David Nenadich.
It was David Nenadich, big pardon. It was the second time he'd been taken out by a Tamiya car.
Yeah.
Was it Dayne the first
and
time?
And it was Dayne the first time as well. So Dayne's really not covered himself in glory there. And I think he might need to have
he's picked up a big old bag of shame and he's rolled around in it.
Yeah, I think he might have to have a hard look at himself and this broadcast.
I don't want to pile on too much, but I'm sure Dayne himself would watch that back and think, earth was I doing there? That was always only ever going to be an aeroplane crash. And that's what it was.
And you could see it coming from a mile away. Like it was as clear as day. Anyway, we should talk about some actual racing. We'll come back to the battle at the front, which is still...
It's closed up. Luke Rosella's got closer to Kurt Stenberg. He's on the last lap taking 2/10 back, so that's ebbing and flowing. It's yo-yoing, whatever you want to say. Kurt Stenberg cannot shake Luke Rosella. It's like a pongy smell that is barely masked by Glen 20.
And he's down the inside at the chase once again. This is the fourth time he's had to go at the chase, but Kurt positions his car very nicely and gets it pulled up just this time. The over-under is on. Is there an overlap there for Rosella to get in? There is, and he's got the inside line for Murray's. This might be the final time that he has to worry about making this move. Down the inside.
Whoa.
Has to work hard to get it stopped, but he has made the move and he's got enough of a run. So that's a change to the lead now. Rosella to first place ahead of Kurt Stenberg.
This is just what the doctor ordered after what we saw up at the cutting. This is delicious racing. Fantastic to see.
And he's done very well there to just hold the Trans-Tasman Racing machine up at the apex of Hell Corner, trying to do as much as he can to force Kurt around the outside into Griffin's Bend. They go side by side. Who's braver on the brakes? It is Kurt. He has the upper hand, but he's gone wide. He's out of the groove, and that's going to give Rosella the position back. And that's all she wrote for the moment. We've got a yellow flag in this sector. I'm not sure why. Is David Nenadich's car still stranded there? Not sure. He has just gone 2 laps down. So
still yellow.
He might be somewhere off the cliff in the bushes.
Scott Nolan's coming into the pits at the moment.
So that's a little early at the end of lap 8.
You're right, David Nenadich is still out literally in the boonies, trying to recover to the track by the looks of it. Where is that? And he's gone back to the garage, so he caught that at a fortuitous time.
And he would be absolutely steaming.
And so he should, like a huge pile of what came out of Thomas McMillan earlier today.
The acoustics are amazing. I'd love to be hearing that blow up. Scott Nolan's done with his pit stop. He's down in 16th place now as we catch this battle for the lead coming down the main straight once again. It's Kurt is right up the bumper of that Synergy Sim Racing Mustang, and he's got the run. He's dealt towards the inside. He's pulling the Rosella on. Rosella this time around to go through the kink, and can Rosella hold on up to the brakes? It's going to be very close. He goes deep, uses a lot of curb, but I think Kurt's done very well there. He's been absolutely masterful breaking into the chase, and just like that, all of Rosella's hard work has been undone in an instant.
Yeah, and Luke Rosella, he stepped it up this year. I'm expecting big things from him, and he's delivering big things already. He's got a pole position. He's fighting for the lead of the race with Kurt Stenberg, 2019's ASC champion. And it's great racing, you know, they're giving each other the respect. This is the kind of battles that we want to see. It's fantastic.
Absolutely, and this is 2 of the best operators in ASC at their absolute maximum. They've been basically nuts to butts for 9 laps now.
They have, and that is more or less at the end of this lap. That will be the halfway point. So last race, we saw that they were about 11, 12 laps. That's where most of the front runners came in. Do you reckon one of them will pull the trigger a little bit earlier for an undercut or something?
I think if anyone's going to do it, it's going to be Luke, because he needs to find a way to get out of, get away from Kurt at the end of the chase. Kurt has just been the master of Sector 3 this entire night. He was half a second up compared to most of his contemporaries in the shootout during Sector 3, whereas it looks like Rosella's car is just a little nicer over the top of the mountain. We'll get a great shot here as we come down the hill, and a big slide for Stenberg there, and that's exactly what I was talking about. Rosella has been super smooth coming down the hill, whereas Stenberg has been a bit all over the place, but once you get the power down at the exit of the elbow here, Kurt is just able to pull away. See, look at that. It was just a momentary take up of throttle just ahead of Rosella, and he's pulled a car length and a half, and that will be enough for him to save that position heading into the chase.
There's always going to be that sort of few moments that the car ahead gets on the throttle earlier than the car behind, that concertina effect that we're all so familiar with, but on this occasion, it was enough to keep Kurt Stenberg clear. There was a little bit of slipstream going on for Luke down there, but it was nowhere near enough. And are we going to see one of them dive in? There's a bit of dummying going on. I think behind them, Zach Baker is coming into the pits, and I do wonder if we're going to see him joined by Benjamin Dahlia, and indeed we are. So second and third place cars are in. First and second have remained on the track. Here they are coming out of the final corner now. So we're going to have a flurry of activity, I get the feeling, in the pits. Brody Steen stayed out on this lap.
And then
Lachlan
next will be
Bork, Corey Preston's in. It's Corey Preston.
That puts Lewis Wedding up into 7th place overall.
Lewis Wedding has had
Sixth place, 5th place. Oh, we got a big slide. Kurt Stenberg's had a massive slide out of Griffin's, and it's going to be very tight to see if he can hold on to the cutting.
He had enough of a gap. He just gapped him on the last sort of sector or so. Let's see if we can catch the replay of that. He's got a narrow entry. He got a bit wide on the exit, fell off the sort of camber. Lit up the rears on that curve. Those tyres are screaming enough, I think. And might see him in at the end of this lap.
And interesting there was that while the door was open momentarily, Rosella didn't shove his entire friggin' face right through it. He actually used his discretion there and decided that an aeroplane crash wasn't the correct course of action.
Ah, I see what you're alluding to.
Yes, yes indeed.
There's a lot of people agreeing with our assessment of the accident that we saw with Dane Liccardo, David Nenadek and Lewis Wedding in the chat. And I think some of them are probably thinking their thoughts a little bit more forcefully than we did, so...
We did try to be a little diplomatic.
Well, we have to. We are of course, we are meant to be neutral players, and we just want to see good racing. We know that there are rivalries and there are friendships and enemies going on, and we don't take sides. We try not to, but we try and call it as we see it.
So once again, while Rosella has had the pace over the top of the mountain, he has been unable to make a move into the chase, and I think this is a mistake. I think this is a mistake for both for Rosella coming in at the same time as Kurt.
You do the opposite of what... Oh, that was contact with the wall, I think.
For Kurt Stenberg?
We'll see. We'll have to catch a replay of that in a moment, but yeah, you do always what the other car doesn't do in that situation.
Exactly, because the premium is track position, and if you're coming in and you're doing the same thing as the other driver, you're not gaining track position. So here's the view from onboard Rosella as they both came into the pits, and they both locked up, and there was nose-to-tail contact there.
That was.
Now I wonder...
I know what you're wondering, go on.
I wonder if that might cause a pit lane speed violation for Kurt.
I doubt it. If he was fully on the brakes, I doubt the game would ping him for that. There is a little bit of leeway, especially if the car behind pushed him.
By the way, in that shot, it looks like we also have Lachlan Bork and Lewis Wedding in the pits, and Steve Warwick. Now, this is interesting. There is Colin Warwick and Zach Baker. So Colin Warwick's actually come up quite a fair bit. He must have pit very early on the piece, and he's going to round up Luke Rosella. Wow, that's a masterstroke from Cole.
Yeah, Luke Rosella's had a very slow stop by the looks of it, because the gap to Kurt Stenberg is 3 seconds. So that's going to have a bit of an effect on the race, because...
Let's have a look at when Colin came in and took his pit stop, because that's been a masterstroke. He came in at the end of lap 10, so the lap prior...
Got the undercut.
He's very well worked the undercut. His outlap saw almost the fastest final sector, and then he put in a 206.2 with the fastest middle sector of the race to undercut both Zach Baker and Luke Rosella there.
We'd almost forgotten about him. He's been anonymous during this race, which is good. It's kind of like, you know, what you want a prime minister to be, you know, just going about their business and not annoying anyone. So that's Colin Warwick right now.
Is he the Prime Minister of ASC?
Well, he's one of the admins.
Oh, there you go.
It's a democracy after all. We don't have preferential voting, but well, actually, it's not a democracy. The admins decide what they want it to be. Sometimes a benevolent dictatorship is the best way of doing it. But I'm sure there would be what's the word? A revolution if they were to F everything up, let's put it that way. But the numbers are growing, and that's an indication of the good job that the admins are doing in this series.
Benevolent dictatorships are often the best kind of dictatorships. I run a few benevolent dictatorships.
Do you?
Yeah, a few online communities, a podcast as well.
Seems to not work when you're talking about countries, though. It tends to attract the wrong people who sort of... They just ruin it for the rest of the aspiring benevolent dictators.
I'll put that on the resume. The skills, aspiring benevolent dictator.
Exactly.
Warren is becoming a much more aggressive dictator to his rear tyres at the moment, using a bit too much of them on the exit of the final corner, leaving a few licorice straps.
Brody
As Brody Steen pit from the lead, and that is the field cleansed with a bar of soap indeed.
And not ethnically, like a non-benevolent dictator.
We're sticking with this one, lads. We're driving it straight to the ground.
I think that's it. It's dying its last die. It's in the death throes as Brody Steen comes out behind his teammate Sean Allen.
They seem to be connected at the hip.
They are. It's good show from the race honours guys. Sean Allen not having quite as good a race as he had in race 1 tonight, as he finished on the podium in race 1 and 6th by most, well, I'd say all objective qualifications is worse than 3rd. And we'll move swiftly on from that.
But he did finish his lap, which did see him gain a significant number of positions at the end of the day. We're having a look here at Colin Warwick. You can see just behind Luke Rosella, he's not really kicked on at the beginning of this stint. He's actually more falling into the clutches of Zach Baker just behind him, although he pitched it over the S's that time around.
It's just been a very fortuitous break for Kurt Stenberg here.
And it's been exactly what Kurt needed. He just was getting a little too hassled by Rosella, but was doing enough to keep the Synergy Sim Racing Mustang behind him at the end of the chase, whereas Rosella had all the pace. He had pace in spades going up and down the mountain, but come this long straight, he just didn't have anything underneath him. So it's not worked out for Rosella. He might learn a lesson here about race strategy and clear air and track position and all those sort of things, but...
That's tight. 13 laps in, and the top 4 covered by 1.6 seconds.
And it looks like we've just lost Colin Preston out of nowhere as well. Corey Preston, sorry. We have Colin Warwick on screen, hence the confusion. We're just trying to have a look and see what could have happened at the scene place.
He was recovering. I reckon he had quite a bit of damage from that early crash we saw with Brody Steen hitting him at the final corner.
Yes. In fact, he's actually gone, we'll bring it up on replay just as this battle starts to heat up. He's gone fairly deep.
I think he was trying to retire anyway. Look at that lockup.
Blow the engine. He's blowing the engine.
No, I think he was... It looked like he was... I think he was coming in to repair some damage, because look at that one-sided lockup as he's coming into the pits.
I wonder if he's had a bigger issue further around that we didn't quite catch, because he then came into the garage and retired the car, so
that might require further investigation as we rejoin this battle at the front of the field.
So let's have a look at some lap times here, because when it's just a little slow, my favourite thing is lap times. You can follow along the lap times too at rsmfanau.liveraces.com. Click on the live session. At the moment, Kurt Stenberg is not the fastest car on track. In fact, he's not even the 2nd or 3rd or 4th, or he is the 4th fastest car on track.
I think Corey Preston just gave up. He was backing off a long time before that.
Unfortunate. Maybe there's been a real life drama for him. But just on this battle at the front. Okay. This is
a Ben Rhodes incident. Let's have a look at this. Is a replay. This is about a lap ago. This is the end of this lap is when he retired. He was grabbing the headphones by the looks of it, got his wheel on the grass, and then had a massive accident.
There we
And
go.
there were a few other little scrapes with the wall afterwards, but this was the one that triggered it. And,
Yeah.
there you go. Ben
That is
Rhodes, you're
Ben
not the only
Rhodes.
one.
So back on this battle at the front, last lap times, a 5.999 for Zach Baker,
9-9.
a 6.022 for Luke Rosella and Colin Warwick, and a 6.3 for Kurt Stenberg. So Kurt's actually the slowest of this group, and it's actually back to front in terms of pace. So we are going to have a grandstand 4-way finish between these 4 drivers.
Look at him. It's closing in.
Yeah, and let's have a look. Lap times this time around. Stenberg, a 6.1, a 5.8 for Colin Warwick, a 5.9 for Luke Rosella, and a 5.9 for Zach Baker. So Colin's the quickest one there, but it's splitting hairs between those following 3. In fact, Stenberg is the one who is most in danger, but he does have the straight line advantage at the end of the chase, which he is surely going to use to great effect, as we have 6 laps remaining of this race.
Let's have a very, very quick stock take before this all kicks off, I reckon. So the top 4, we're well aware of who they are. Behind them, Benjamin Dahlia, he was in 3rd, he was in 4th, but now he's in 5th, and he sort of dropped away a little bit. Behind them, we've got the 2 Race On Oz cars, led by Sean Allen and Brody Steen in tow. Lachlan Bork is the sole survivor of that midfield battle after Dane Liccardo bowling balled it down up at the cutting. Lewis Wedding,
Launched David Nenadich into space.
absolute, just call him NASA or SpaceX to bring it into the 21st century. Just on the screen, Colin Warwick a little bit wide, losing a few chances there. Kurt Stenberg. We've got Scott Nolan. He'll be happy with the top 10, I think. That's a good showing from Scott Nolan from the night he's had. Then RSM Latino behind him is up 3 spots. Alex Cattle, where he started in 12th place, and then behind him in the Black Shores Commodore is Steve Warwick, whose son is in 2nd place in this race. Then we've got Brapp in 14th place, and Dane Liccardo somehow still circulating after, launching.
After doing his best
David
Marcus
Nenadich.
Ambrose impression.
Yes, I was just saying it was
Was it Marcus Ambrose or it was Greg Murphy on the inside in that instance, wasn't it? Because Marcus almost went over the wall.
I was trying to make some sort of, launching him over the wall like the Mexican border thing, but it just didn't come together in time. And
Like the humble trebuchet.
humble trebuchet. But this is the 4-car battle for the front. Kurt Stenberg's just got a little bit of a reprieve of late, as Colin Warwick maybe he's eaten the best of his tyres.
The reason that Stenberg's got a little bit of a reprieve is he's just set the fastest lap of the race. He's responded to the pressure from behind. A 2:05.463 to be the fastest lap of the race, eclipsing everyone by almost a second there. 2:06.2, 2:06.4, 2:06.3 for the next 3 runners. And Benjamin Dahlia actually with a 2:06.3 as well, circulating around in 5th place. We're going to move on here. Zach Baker to the inside, and he gets the move done on Rosella, does he? Yes, he does. Very narrow on the exit though, so he must have got it a cracking run. Must have gotten
He really got it a cracking run.
cracking run out of Hell Corner.
Let's get it a replay, and here it is. In fact, it was set up well before that, coming into Griffin's Bend.
He just took the high ground away, and there was nothing Rosella seemed to be able to do about it.
Well, there you go. Obi-Wan it.
Love it. Love a good prequel meme. Or as Rosella, he's legitimately trying to make a pass to McPhillamy Park.
Oh.
Like, I've never seen a pass actually come off there without going off there.
I'm sure there's been a few people make a pass up in the audience there, but on track it tends to not go right. That's a wiggle, and that's going to be a secession of position, I think.
That was just the wrong moment for Baker to get a wriggle there, and that actually took him away from the apex of the elbow and allowed Liccardo the prime opportunity to slip down the inside, but he's in trouble now. The top speed advantage hasn't gone his way.
Whoa.
He's had to sweep across the front and claim that position, but you know what this has done? This has just allowed not so much Colin Warwick, who seems to have had a slow lap, but Kurt Stenberg, he's just been able to trot away from this group.
Yeah, huge gap on the previous lap between Colin and Kurt, as we alluded to with the fast lap from Kurt Stenberg. But we're going to see I think that happened again. It's a slower lap from Kurt Stenberg again, but an equally slower lap by Colin Warwick. So 4/10 difference between Kurt Stenberg and Colin Warwick on the previous lap. And now he's actually coming under pressure from Luke Rosella, who's not so much worried about Zach Baker anymore.
It was a shocking lap from Colin Warwick. It's that last sector, he lost half a second, and he's under pressure now. He's really under pressure, and
What's going on?
Rosella's just gone straight past him.
I think Colin Warwick, maybe he's dealing with a fuel issue. There was a flash of the lights from Luke Rosella, which I don't think Colin Warwick will be too pleased with.
And he's getting a flash of the lights from Zach Baker as well.
What's going on?
That's quite befuddling.
This looks like massive fuel saving from Colin Warwick because he's all of a sudden lost all of his pace.
And that might be the answer then to how he managed to undercut Zach Baker and everyone else from the pit sequence. He's fuel saving very early if that's the case. He's got 4 laps still to go, and if he's dropping he's dropped another second to sector 1, and he's murdering Zach Baker here because Liccardo, I've got Liccardo stuck in my head because Rosella has cleared away, and that's a second now between Rosella and Warwick, and Baker, who was literally moments ago ahead of the Mustang, the Synergy Sim Racing Mustang, has been destroyed by Warwick's holding him up here.
Yeah, so that's going to spread out this leading battle, and so we're going to see just what that's done in a minute in terms of stretching out the field. There he goes, just lets him go. So here's a wide shot. That's Kurt Stenberg now coming through. Luke Rosella just behind. That gap stretched out. And the top 4, which was separated by 2 seconds, are now barely in the same shot.
And in fact, Warwick's going to be very vulnerable to Benjamin Dahlia in a second, provided that Dahlia doesn't spear off at the chase. He does manage to hold it up.
Well, the amount he's fuel saving, he'll be lucky to finish the race. He really needs to save that much fuel, then he's desperately close to not making it to the end, I would have thought.
In contrast, Kurt Stenberg's just gone through instead of 2:05.452. Oh, that last lap from Colin Warwick, a 2:11.7.
Yeah.
That's 6 seconds away from Kurt Stenberg in 1 lap. That's incredible, the amount of pace that he's lost. And he will very soon be wrapped up by Benjamin Dahlia. In fact, it's going to be almost before Griffin's.
Not quite. But, well, this is a bit of a freebie for Benjamin Dahlia.
A reward for being in the right place at the right time.
You know, he'd be annoyed if he just saved enough fuel, but as I said, that I think that's pretty easy to see there. And Colin Warwick now has a fairly big gap to Brody Steen behind, who somehow he's got ahead of Sean Allen. We'd see where that happened.
It all happened so fast in ASC. Looks like Sean had a very slow beginning to the last lap, so that might possibly be the answer we are looking for.
So I thought I heard his engine die. I think it's just him clutching as he goes through the corners. Let's go on board. Lots of short shifting.
Those are very short shifts.
Yeah. That's and he's
Coasting.
He's coasting before the uphill rise on Conrod Straight. Short shifts. That's like 3 hours after school for Woolies for a year 12 student. That's a very short shift.
Yeah, that's
desperate.
How maybe he's got his sums wrong. Maybe he pit on lap 10 but only put in fuel to pit on lap 12. Maybe he's had to save 2 full laps because he pit on lap 12 in the first race, and so if he's not adjusted his strategy, not adjusted his fuel, that could be an answer. We've got 2 laps left.
2 laps left, and this is Kurt Stenberg sublimely on his way to his 2nd win of the season by the looks of it. We've got Madbird, 2 awful guys in the chat saying no Warrens, and well, that is correct, sir. Dayne Warren not here tonight, although we are assured he'll be here for the rest of the series to defend his championship. And I'm sure Ethan Warren is in a similar boat. We did have their father in the chat mentioning that they will be taking part and helping out for Kart Effects. So that is something that we can look forward to, but it's definitely been a bit of an open goal, and Kurt Stenberg has stepped up to kick that open goal. Still got to get the job done, and that he seems to be doing. Colin Warwick's had a lot of pace tonight as well, but of course that's come undone with the mammoth fuel-saving effort he's been having to make to get this thing to the end. He was right up there with Kurt Stenberg only a few laps ago, and Luke Rosella in second place. That'll be a very strong result for him, ahead of Zach Baker, and then we've got Benjamin Dahlia in fourth place. Colin Warwick quietly coasting down the S's now with the clutch well in. Yeah, silent, not just quiet. Brody Steen has gapped Sean Allen actually after getting past him. Lachlan Burke in 8th place, and then we've got Lewis Wedding in the top 10. Scott Nolan in 10th as he was before. Alex Cattle in 11th. Steve Warwick in 12th place. Then we've got Brapp in 13th. This order hasn't changed too much. Then Dane Liccardo. Is he fuel saving too? I can't hear anything coming out of the engine. No, there it is. He's been in the wars today, of course. A well-storied accident.
In the pits. There he is. And he's going to come out just around the leaders, in fact. So this could be a little sketchy, and as the leaders are on their final lap, let's not forget. And in fact, we just saw very briefly on our screen Colin Warwick losing positions to the Race on Oz duo of Brody Steen and Sean Allen.
Wow.
So there we are.
That was a gap
of 16 seconds.
Let's have a look at his recent lap times. 2:17.5 Colin Warwick on the previous lap. He's going to do very, very well to finish this race in this rate. So that's a huge miscalculation there from Colin Warwick.
Not ideal.
What is going on? Luke Rosella's in the lead.
Whoa! What has happened there?
We've had...
Where is Kurt Stenberg?
He's third.
So we have missed.
What has befallen Kurt Stenberg? Oh, he's had a crash at the second corner, Griffin's Bend. This is a huge development. This is the last lap of the race. Kurt Stenberg coming up to turn 2.
He's just gotten on the curb. He's just ridden the inside of the curb and pitched himself into the inside wall of Griffin's. And the Rosella, he just waltzed his way around the outside, and he's going to inherit a race win here. And Zach Baker as well, he's jumped onto second. Oh, this is incredible stuff. Late drama once again in ASC for Kurt Stenberg.
Unbelievable. So that is the race winner, well, race leader, not the race winner, because he's now, well, he's on the podium at least, but he's going to be so angry with himself. It was going to be a perfect start to the season.
And we called it too early.
We did. I'm sorry, Kurt. It's not over for second place, though. He's putting Zach Baker under some pressure. This is the final lap of the race. Luke Rosella has only got a few corners left between himself and victory. There's a hugely defensive line for Zach Baker, and who can blame him there?
Defensive.
Goes on the grass, and Kurt Stenberg's going to get second place if he can keep the thing together. Here comes Luke Rosella, 1 corner to go between himself and his first ASC victory. What a performance from Luke Rosella. He was there when it mattered. A little bit of luck. Kurt Stenberg off on the final lap, but that is one hell of a finish to the opening round of 2021.
Rosella first. Kurt Stenberg did come home in second place after Zach Baker bowled wide at the chase. Zach Baker down in third. Benjamin Dahlia, great showing from him tonight to finish in fourth. And then the Race on Oz pair, Brody Steen and Sean Allen, 5th and 6th. Colin Warwick is going to come across the lane. No, he's not. Lachlan Bork has grabbed him.
At least he's going to come across the line.
The last throws of the race, finished 7th. Colin Warwick down in 8th. That hurts. It was his starting position, though, so in the end, he gained and lost nothing.
The storybooks will not tell that story.
Birthday boy Lewis Wedding comes home in 9th and is volunteering to give Colin Warwick a little bit of a push.
There you go.
Maybe, not quite.
Some more cushion for the pushing.
Still love a good cushion.
Irrelevant in this context, but Scott Nolan's just going to finish in 10th here, ahead of Alex Cattle. So that's an improvement over race 1 for him, and some good points on the board for Synergy Sim Racing with his teammate winning the race.
He did say one of them would be at the very head of the field.
Well, and the other one wasn't completely at the back. 10th is midfield for sure, especially in a grid of 17. Well, we had 23 in race 1, so that was a big grid, and we've just seen Steve Warwick cross the line. Brapp finished on the lead lap this time, which is an improvement on race 1, so good job from him. And then Dane Liccardo somehow is going to bring this home 4 points. I'm sure David Nenovich would be hoping that it was the other way around. He'll probably have some sanctions coming his way, but he has copped, I must say, an awful lot of abuse in the live chat. Of course, we know abuse is no good, but critiques are okay, I would have thought. And I feel like to think that what we did was a critique.
A few people providing free character assessments in the live chat.
Well, it's not his character that I know anything about. I just know what I saw at the final corner. But the less said about that, the better, because the plaudits all belong to Luke Rosella tonight.
And it was a very lucky win in the end for Luke. He certainly had the pace in that first stint, but I would say it was a poor strategy call to come in on the same lap as Kurt Stenberg, but it didn't matter in the end. A last lap mistake for Kurt, handing Rosella the victory, and with it, well, I'm not sure about the victory in the end because sorry about the round points in the end because Kurt did have a win in the first race, but still a great result for Luke on his first. Is this his first full season of ASC? I know that he definitely did parts of the season last year.
Well, he can probably tell you himself. Luke's with us in the commentary broadcast booth. Congratulations on that fantastic night. Pole position and a victory. Well done.
Thanks, bud. Yeah, really happy with round one of ASC. Had some good pace. I thought not good enough pace to win, but well, first to win, you got to finish, and well, Kurt did finish, but he made a bit of a mistake at the last lap there. But really happy.
Yeah, you sound it as well. Great to hear your voice again, Luke. It's good to get you back on the booth. Just take us through that first stint. You and Kurt had a ding-dong battle throughout most of that first stint. You managed to get the move done after 4 or 5 attempts at the chase, but he got you back the next lap. What was going through your head after he breezed past you into the chase?
Yeah, that was a great battle. Probably one of the best battles I've had in a while. Yeah, I was surprised. I thought Kurt had the pace advantage over me, but yeah, my car was pretty quick over the top and could stay behind him in the draft. And yeah, had some great skirmishes coming into the chase. And I think after a while, I thought I might as well just stay with him in the draft because every time we seemed to battle, Dahlia and one of the ZB racing cars kept catching up. But yeah, I wanted to stay behind him as well. I didn't want to try undercut him because I knew in clean air he probably would have still had the pace advantage. So yeah, stay behind him. We both pitted the same lap, and it looks like I overfueled just a bit, and he had a pretty good buffer. And yeah, had some also good battles with Cole and Zach Baker, and yeah, he made a mistake and got my first win in ASC, which is brilliant.
Awesome. Congratulations on that one, Luke, and congratulations on a good result for round one of the ASC Championship for 2021.
Thanks, buddy.
Second place in the second race, and first in the first race was Kurt Stenberg. Kurt, what happened?
Well, I looked after my tyres there at the start of that stint because I knew that Luke had come out behind Cole, and I thought I'd have a bit of a go there on the last few laps, try and, I don't know what I was thinking. I just thought I'll make sure we got enough of a gap, and I think I overstepped the mark. I think the tyres just got slightly too hot, and I stood on the throttle, and I knew it was going, and I tried to do the old stand on the throttle to flick it the full way around, and all I did was put myself in the fence. So, and then it just caused me more drama. So yeah, not happy to lose the race like that, but I was happy to still get P2, and all around the rest of the night's gone pretty well for myself. Other than qualifying for race 2, the rest of it's gone pretty well.
Yeah, it was a very tight margin in qualifying for race 2. Despite the minor incident, we'll say, you did manage to recover to second place, and I think that takes you to the championship lead out of the first round of the series. You've got to be happy with that.
I do. That's words I haven't heard since 2019. So it's good to be back on top. It's there's been a thunderstorm here tonight, like round 1 last year, and it has not knocked out my internet or power. It's knocked out my mobile net.
So the only difference is the number on your windscreen there. The number 1, unlucky for you last year, Kurt.
I was just about to allude to that. I reckon it's cursed. I dead set reckon it's cursed. So yeah, good night overall for me. Back with the number 47 on the car, and we've got a good result with it. So, yeah.
Awesome. It was great work from you in that first race and the second race, and a great night overall. Congratulations, Kurt Stenberg.
No worries. Thanks, buddy.
And we've got also in the broadcast booth Colin Warwick. Cole, great race from you in the first race. You really took the battle to Kurt Stenberg, driving him all the way up to the line. That second race, you qualified a bit off the pace. Just tell us what happened first in qualifying, in the shootout rather.
I crossed the line with a 2:04.679, so that would have put me second, but the internet dropped out as I crossed the line. I could not believe it.
That's absolutely the worst
Gutting.
luck. Yeah.
I was actually still in the server, and I said to Stanny, I'll quickly take a screenshot so that way everyone knows that I actually did do the lap. And yeah, it just completely dropped as I picked up my phone to take the photo.
Oh no, that's a real shame.
So yeah, that explains the P8. But then the race, I thought I'll just underfill and try and get some track position, and then try and save fuel. But yeah, underfilled way too much. So
did you? Because you came in on lap 10. So what were the sums? How compared to the first race where you came in a little later? How much more fuel did you put in?
Compared to the first race, I think I put 75 in the first race, and then that second one I only put 53 in.
Oh.
So
Wow, that was very, very brave of you. You were certainly in it for a little while. You were putting in some really, really good laps in that battle, but unfortunately, how close were you to running out of fuel at the end of the race?
I ran out of fuel across the line.
Well, it's perfect then, apart from having to be 17 seconds slower.
Well, I started 8th and finished 8th with unusual strategy. Just went for a crack, and
and plenty of airtime for your new sponsor, Colin.
Yeah, it's my mum's little canteen at Parkley Prison. So yeah, shout out to Canteen 3.
Awesome. Great work for the first race tonight, and unfortunate for the second race, but still a great night's action for you, Cole. Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you guys. Cheers.
And that brings to a conclusion the evening's action at ASC. And Stez, what an evening.
It was a great night of racing altogether. Congratulations, of course, to our other two podium sitters who are not here. Sean Allen finishing third in race 1, and David Nedich. Zach Baker, I should say, the other ZB car. I had a 50% chance of getting that right. Blew it. But yeah, some good racing from all of those guys, and good to see a lot of different drivers on the podium in the first round of the series. We can't wait for the next one. And
when is the next one, Stez?
I knew you'd ask me that, and I don't have it in front of me. I've been so flat out getting everything. I'm sure we can have one of our admins jump in and answer that question for us, as they're both still here in the server.
March 23rd.
And that's at Sandown?
Yes.
Awesome.
Yeah, following the real life calendar as we always do here in ASC. So if there are any changes due to COVID, I believe that we'll do our best to mirror that. But round 2 from Sandown should be an absolute cracker. It's been a while since we've raced there in ASC.
Yeah, I in fact think the last time we raced there in ASC was when I was commentating.
Yes, it was, yes.
So it has been a little while back.
Thomas McMillan won that race, if I recall correctly.
Yes, indeed. It was a ding-dong battle between McMillan and I think Kurt Stenberg as well. It was. I recall that being a very, very good race.
So it should bring that sort of racing again, I suspect. So I'm very much looking forward to that on March 23. Did you say, Colin?
That's correct.
March 23. Can't wait for it.
Awesome. I can't wait for it as well, but I hope for the series' sake that I'll be vacating the chair and return you back to Madbird. I do love doing this, but there is something romantic about the Stairs and Madbird commentary duo.
Oh, interesting. Well, that's an interesting adjective. I'm sure Madbird would agree. Let's call it there. Thank you very much indeed, everyone, for watching. We've had an absolute ball on the first day back of school. We'll see you for the second day of school. Bye for now.